education. That is such a tremendous honor, and we are all incredibly inspired by the work that you do and will continue to do. Thank you. Thank you so much, and congratulations. I also want to recognize Her Highness Sheikh Moza for her outstanding work on behalf of women and children here in Qatar and around the world. The fact that 2/3 of university students in Qatar and nearly 40% of the Qatari workforce are women is no accident. It is due in large part to her leadership. And I had the pleasure, absolutely. And I had the pleasure of meeting with Her Highness yesterday. And I very much look forward to working with her and her Education Above All Foundation to help more children, particularly adolescent girls in communities across the globe, make that critical transition from primary to secondary education. And most of all, I want to thank all of you. Your governments and organizations are improving education for millions of children. Your research and advocacy are transforming how we educate our next generation. And while you come to the issue of education from so many different perspectives, you're all doing this work for one simple reason. Because like me, you believe that every child on this planet deserves the chance to fulfill their boundless potential. And that's why I wanted to be here at this important global summit, a gathering focused on impact and inclusive growth, because we all know that right now we are far from achieving the goal. And that's what I want to talk with you about today, especially as it relates to a topic that I care deeply about, and that is girls' education around the world. Now, you all are familiar with the statistics, how right now 62 million girls worldwide are not in school. And while every developing region in the world has achieved or is close to achieving gender parity in primary education, when it comes to secondary education, girls still lag far behind. And when girls do attend secondary school, they often do so at great risk, as we saw in Pakistan, where Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head by Taliban gunmen, and in Nigeria, where more than 200 girls were kidnapped from their school dormitory by Boko Haram terrorists, and in countries across the globe where adolescent girls have been harassed, sexually assaulted, or doused with acid on their way to school. And even when girls do manage to finish secondary school, even university, in many countries they graduate only to find that there's no place for them in the workforce, nowhere for them to use the skills they worked so hard to develop. So I think we can all agree that we need to make dramatic new investments in girls' education. We need to build more schools, hire more teachers for girls. We need to provide safe transportation and bathroom facilities and hygiene products for these girls. We need to connect them with technology, with training for high-tech jobs. And I know that many of you are already doing this kind of work, as am I. As First Lady of the United States, I've been working with leaders across the globe to spur new investments in girls' education. And these investments are absolutely critical. But if we're being honest with ourselves, I think we have to admit that these investments alone simply are not enough. See, I don't think it's an accident that we reached gender parity in primary but not secondary education. Because when girls are young, they're often seen simply as children. But when they hit adolescence and they start to develop into women and are suddenly subject to all of their society's biases around gender, that is precisely when they start to fall behind in their education. So yes, solving our girls' education crisis is definitely about resources, but it is also about attitudes and beliefs. It's about whether parents think their daughters are as worthy of an education as their sons. It's about whether our societies cling to outdated laws and traditions that oppress and exclude women, or whether their view of women are as full citizens entitled to equal rights.
Okay.
So today I want to talk with you not just as experts in your governments and organizations, but as thought leaders and opinion shapers in your country.
Go back and come back, that's why.
Because if we truly want to get girls into our classrooms, then we need to have an honest conversation about how we view and treat women in our societies.
I think we have.
And this conversation needs to happen in every country on this
Somebody joined through the
planet,
phone line,
including my own.
203.
You see, I say this as someone whose country has undergone a long and difficult struggle for women's equality.
And
A
most of
struggle that
you
is still
tuned
going
into the
on
phone line, you
today.
haven't enabled
When my
your
grandmother was born,
camera. Please do
women
so.
couldn't vote.
Hello,
When my mother was a young wife,
can you hear me?
women
I can
couldn't
hear you.
open credit cards
Yeah, but how
or
come I'm not
name.
showing up on the
They
screen?
needed their husband's permission. And when it came to education,
Try it.
their options
Do I
were
go
very
back up and
limited.
come back in?
No,
Back
you
then,
should be on the
girls
screen.
were
How come I didn't see
discouraged
none of you on
from
the screen?
studying subjects
Right.
like math and science,
Anybody on the phone.
and from
They have to
pursuing
click start
professions
video.
like
Exactly. You got to
law
click
and
on
business
your
and
area
medicine.
there, start video, then
In
that way
fact,
it will bring you on.
Just
It doesn't
50
provide
Because
that.
all I
years
did is
ago,
to accept you guys in the
there were so few
meeting.
women
So all you
at
need to do now,
Harvard
just click start
University's
video,
law
then the video
school
will
that
come out.
some professors
It
used to
doesn't
have what
provide
they
that
called
option. Normally,
Okay,
you
hold
I
on,
have
hold
an
on.
option. I
that
don't
was
have
the
that
one day
option.
a year
You
when they
don't?
would actually call
Yeah, I don't either.
on the women in their classes.
Ah,
If you look
So back when I was a
down,
girl,
it does not provide.
even though
let me
I
see.
was
back,
bright
yes,
and
around and
curious,
way.
and I had plenty of opinions
I
of
see
my
this
own,
video.
people were often more
Yeah,
interested
add
in
me on this
hearing what
video.
my
Raise
brother
your
had
hand
to say.
and Q&A.
Have video.
And my parents didn't have much money. Neither of them had a university degree. So when I got to school, I sometimes encountered teachers who assumed that a girl like me wouldn't be a good student.
So you
I
guys
was
want me
even
to
told that I would never be
send a
admitted
new link then?
to a prestigious university, so I shouldn't even
The
bother to
last time,
apply.
Mr. Cannon, the last time I tried it was we logged off
Like
and came
so
back
many
in.
girls across
It
the
would have
globe,
kicked us back in. I don't know
I
if
got
that's
the message that
it's
I
up to you,
shouldn't
whatever you
take
want
up too much space in this world,
Yeah, it should be.
that I should speak softly
Let me see.
and rarely,
Okay.
that I should have modest
Video should
and
be-
visions
Am I
of my
on
future, that I
video
should
too?
do what I was told and not ask any
Everybody should be on.
questions.
But let me see here.
But I was lucky because I had parents who believed in me, who had big dreams for me.
Oh.
They told me, don't ever listen to those who doubt you.
All right.
They said, just work harder to prove them wrong.
I think we will.
That's what I did.
Wouldn't me and
I went to school, I worked hard,
wouldn't me
I
and
got
Jackie
good grades.
available on the link?
I got accepted to top universities.
One, two.
I went on to become a lawyer, a city government employee, a hospital
We have 10
executive.
people. Only two of us.
And the most
available to
important job I've
participate
ever
in that.
had,
Something's not right.
a mother to
Hi, but Grace, I
beautiful
see
girls.
there's a family photo. Is that what she wants to see?
Grace? No, I'm here live on the video. I can't see myself, and I don't
And
know how
as
to
I
get
move
through.
forward
But
So
Are you-
family
are you-
photo,
in
that's
each
my Facebook
generation,
profile.
brave
Are you
and
on?
men
Oh, you're
fought
using the
to
Facebook.
end
Okay,
gender
I see. So
discrimination in
on.
the
Do you see
workplace,
anything
to
that
pass
says
tougher laws
enable your
against
video?
rape, and domestic
No,
abuse
no.
to ensure
No.
equal access
So you
to
think I
education
should
for
not come
women.
through Facebook? I should
And
just
while we
No, you
still
should go
have
through your
work to
computer.
No,
do
just
That's what I did.
even if it's your phone, but just go
economic,
through
political
the Zoom
equality
directly.
for
You don't have to go
women
through
in the US
Hi,
Facebook.
Ann.
today,
I see
Okay.
Ann
You
is
see,
happy.
Ann is
of
on.
American university
Okay, so
students
then
are
let me
women.
go back and come
Yeah,
back.
And
you don't have to use
Ashley,
Facebook.
law
Just go
school
directly
at Harvard
through
University,
your
which I
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
got
through the
my
link that
law
was sent to
degree.
you.
The dean of the school is now a woman,
Just click the link.
as are half the students. So I know from my own experience and that of my country that we cannot separate the issue of how we educate girls from the issue of how we treat women more broadly in our societies. So I would argue that the UN Sustainable Development Goals that you all will be discussing, goals like
Hello?
ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education,
So
and
let
achieving
me
gender
give a message
equality
to
and
people watching
empowering
us.
all women and girls, those goals.
So, folks, I want to say good evening, good
cannot be
afternoon to
achieved
all of you.
separately.
Continue to share the show. We
I would
are
argue
making sure that we have
we
all our
cannot
guests
address
here
our girls' education
available.
crisis
So, be
until
patient
we
with us.
address the cultural
Very soon we're going
norms
to be
and
coming live.
practices that devalue
So continue to
women's
share the show as we
intelligence,
bring
that
on
silence their
all our
voices,
guests
that limit their ambitions.
live.
So,
So
yes,
we are
need
making
to
sure
provide
that
girls with safe
everybody
transportation to school,
is set and ready to go.
but we also
So
need to confront the cultural norms that
please
make girls unsafe
bear with
in the
us.
first
Give us
place.
a few minutes.
The belief that
We will
survivors of
be bringing
rape
the guests on very,
were
very soon.
somehow asking for
The
it,
panelists will be on very soon.
or that it's perfectly
give us a few minutes.
acceptable for a man to rape his wife, or that
So,
young girls who have survived sexual
so we don't have
assault are
three
somehow
people.
damaged
This is
goods,
crazy.
unfit for marriage, when with few prospects for their futures.
Who don't you have?
Because if we truly want to keep girls safe, we need to transform this culture of impunity into a culture of consent. And we need to condemn sexual assault for what it is, a violent crime
Yeah,
that
hello?
has no place in the
All right,
street.
you know
But
what?
I can't, but nobody could hear me.
And
We
yes,
can hear you, but we're not seeing you.
we need to provide school bathrooms and feminine hygiene products for our girls. But
And
we also need to
Talvina said you can't hear her
taboos
either, I
that
guess.
I can
say
hear her.
it's
So what
harmful
I'm
or
gonna do,
shameful. We need to
I think
confront
I'm
the
gonna,
myths about women's
This is not the usual view that I'm usually used to seeing.
the one we're looking at, what we're using today, I think we should just use that. That's what I usually use.
If we truly
But this
want to
one is the
empower
one
girls
that,
to learn, then we
you
need
know-
to
What's it, who?
ensure
Well, something,
that
why would changing it?
bodies are a source
No,
of
because
pride.
this was the initial setup. I was just doing what I usually do. That's what I tried today, and that was really good.
Thank you.
So,
We go
the
back to
link-
the iCloud.
no, I'm sending you a
yes,
new link to you people
We
right
need
now.
to help parents.
But I
afford
will send it
school
to,
fees and uniforms and supplies for their
Talvina, and then
daughters.
she will just
But
send
we
it to
also
you
need
on
So I'll send it
Messenger.
through Messenger.
Once
I will-
Yeah, she will send it
educated,
to Messenger to everybody,
women
okay?
can join the
Okay, that's
workforce and
fine.
support
Ooh,
their
ooh,
families.
wait.
Because that's how we'll
That would be
persuade
Talvina.
parents that
I want to end this
education
real quick
is a
so we
better
can do that.
investment than
Okay,
forcing
I'm
their
waiting.
daughters into early
Oh,
marriage
but-
or consigning
so,
them to household labor.
Messenger, okay, because
And
I'm
that's
using
how
my
we'll
computer.
ensure that
Yeah,
girls are
she will send you a
valued not just
message.
for their bodies,
Okay,
but
okay. So we
for
should
their
leave the meeting now?
minds,
We
Yes.
should leave?
Yeah,
talents,
I'm ending the
skills,
meeting
and
right now.
ideas. And make no mistake about it, these changes need to happen at every level of our societies, in parliaments, in boardrooms, in courtrooms, but also in homes and in schools, in big cities and remote villages across the globe. That's why earlier this year, the United States government launched Let Girls Learn, the new initiative to help adolescent girls worldwide go to school. Through Let Girls Learn, we are investing in girls' education in conflict zones because we know that girls in these areas are twice as likely to be out of secondary school. We're funding programs that address poverty, HIV, and other issues that keep girls from being educated. And we're supporting hundreds of new hyper-local girls' education projects that are driven by community leaders, parents, and the girls themselves. Things like girls mentoring and leadership camps that they help run, new school bathrooms and libraries that they build, because we know that ultimately that is the only way to change hearts and minds, by empowering local leaders, by training local educators, by inspiring new conversations with families about the value of investing in their daughters. And in my travels around the world, I've seen firsthand that when families and communities make those investments, girls thrive. I've met so many girls who wake up before dawn, who travel for hours to attend a school, bare concrete classrooms with nothing but a few rickety desks and some faded posters on the wall. Let me tell you, those girls, oh, they're so hungry to learn. They're reading every book they can get their hands on. They're studying for hours every night. They're raising their hands so hard in class that they almost fall off their chairs.
So folks, don't go away. We are waiting for our guests, our panelists to come in. Most of them are already here, so we will be coming on very soon. So don't go anywhere. Go ahead and share the show and continue to listen to the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, since we're going to be discussing women and children issue today. In this video with Michelle Obama, she's talking about women, girls education around the world and also Africa. So while we await our panelists to be here, we're going to continue to play the Michelle Obama video for a few more minutes, and it will be on right here. So go ahead and share the show, everybody. All right.
Truly start to value their minds and respect their bodies and give them the education they need to fulfill their potential. That doesn't just transform their lives. It transforms their families and their countries too. The research is crystal clear. Girls who are educated marry later, have lower rates of infant mortality. They're more likely to immunize their children.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
To contract malaria and HIV.
I can hear you.
Girls who are educated also earn higher salaries, 15
everybody
to 25% for each additional year of secondary school. And studies have shown that sending more girls to school and into the workforce can boost an entire country's GDP.
Grace, Jackie,
and I really want to emphasize
and
that last point about bringing women into the workforce.
We're good.
This is critical for countries around the world, including my own, that seek to modernize their workforces for the information age. Because let's be clear, a country cannot successfully make this transition if it disregards the talent and potential of half its citizens. And we cannot build a modern workforce without laws and attitudes that keep women from entering and thriving in our workplaces. We're actually dealing with this issue in the U.S. where too many women still struggle to balance the needs of their family with the demands of their careers. We still struggle.
Yes, I did.
Outdated beliefs that a woman cannot be both an accomplished professional and a devoted mother, that she has to choose between the two. But fortunately, in recent years,
I want to make sure we have everybody on so we can start the show.
Have been challenging this belief. Because the constraints
we have Grace,
we put on women
have Patient,
limit men
we have Massa, we have Jackie,
Turns
we
out
have
that
Hawa,
many men want more time with their families. They want their wives to be fulfilled at their jobs. They want their daughters to have the same
let's give a few
career
minutes to get
opportunities
the rest of the people in here, then we will go.
That is why
live
we
on the
must embrace the truth that issues like girls' education and workplace equality have never been and will never be just women's issues. So today, to all of the men here, I want to be very clear. We need you. Yes.
Can we start the show, or we just wait for other people to come?
As fathers,
because we have about
as
7 people here already.
As human beings,
but maybe we can wait a few more minutes as people continue to listen to.
We need you to speak out.
But yet, while you're on here, please go ahead and share the show so your friends can see.
We need you to ask hard questions in your workplace,
live.
Like where
this screen
are the women?
Is not live,
Why aren't there more women in leadership roles
SKTV
here?
is
Why
already
don't
live
we
and ready to bring all of you on. So go ahead and share it so that other people can,
we need you to
know that
push
we are
other
on.
men to hold the same dreams for their daughters as they do for their sons. And we need all of you, men and women, to really think about the needs of women and girls with every program you create, with every policy you craft, with every project you undertake.
Powerful
and you
people
can start right
also
now.
joining us today. I think we got a lot of people on here now.
For example, if you attend the session on conflict zones, ask about issues like sexual assault and forced child marriage. The session on teacher equality, ask whether we have enough female teachers in our schools. If you're in the sessions on higher education or the skills
I think
gap,
you can mute your phone.
If
you're a
girls
little bit
actually
noisy, just mute your
use their
phone
education in the workforce.
so it can disturb.
And when you return home after the summit, I hope you will keep on asking those questions and seeking new answers in your organization. And I hope you'll urge your governments to increase investments in girls' education and to change laws and policies that limit women's rights and freedoms.
Somebody got their
To let
phone
girls
open and
learn,
then
countries
you're
like
hearing
Japan,
some
the
noise,
UK,
background
and
noise.
South Korea have already committed hundreds of millions of dollars to send girls to school. And last month, we announced major new investments in girls' education in Pakistan.
Okay.
And we need more countries here in the Middle East and across the globe to join us in these efforts. Because we know what's possible when we empower women and girls and give them the opportunities to develop their promise. We see it in the story of women like Farah Milah from Jordan.
Yes, so far.
Who's here as part of this year's
Been going
Learner's
in
Voice
this video,
cohort.
but not yet.
Farah earned her degree here in Qatar from Georgetown University, but she wasn't content just to get her
we
own
have a lot of
education.
people on,
She
but we
also
don't have
spent
everybody on
countless
yet.
hours recruiting classmates
So
to
maybe
join
if we
her
start,
in
then
teaching
maybe
English to migrant workers on campus
Yeah.
and integrating
I
them
think we should
into
do that.
their community. We see
No.
the power of education in the
Yeah,
story
so,
of Varsha Thabo, who's also here through the Learner's Voice cohort. Varsha grew up in a rural
Those are
area in
here.
Pakistan where the local schools
Okay.
were often
So
abandoned.
we have
But she studied hard. She
let
earned
me
a scholarship to
call the names
university.
that I have here available. Then
With that education,
what we're gonna
Varsha
do
founded a
after
study
when I
circle for girls
when
in
I
her
say the
village.
show starts,
She's helping girls in
then I will
Cambodia
call
write their
everybody by
stories.
name.
She's working on
You'll be
public
on the
health
screen.
issues
Just
across
you.
the globe, and
You
she's
have 1
planning to
minute,
pursue a master's
1.5
degree in
minutes to
education
introduce yourself.
policy.
And the 1.5 minute you
Stories
can
are
go less,
everywhere.
we don't go more. Because we have a lot of people
And that story
we're
about
gonna
the
have
transformative power
a
of
very good
education,
conversation here today. So we don't want one person to
that's my
monopolize
story,
the entire conversation because everybody
my
here
family
to make
story.
to contribute.
And I'm sure that
So
for
once
many
I
of
call
you,
your
it's
name,
your story too.
then you will be on the screen
My
to
education
introduce yourself to
opened up
the viewership.
opportunities
In the
that I
same
never
time,
could have
in
dreamed
the
of
meantime, go ahead and share the show.
as a young black girl from a working
So
class
let's
family in a big
go
American
ahead
city.
and get us.
My university
screen.
degrees transported me to places I never could have imagined.
So
The boardrooms, courtrooms,
let's do this.
to the White House. My mother now lives with our family, and we're raising our daughters just steps from the Oval Office. This is such a long way,
Right.
the tiny apartment where I was raised.
So, folks,
That's the thing about education. It can carry
Something's
our
not right.
children such great distances
what is going on?
and bring the most impossible dreams within their reach. So I hope you all will keep working as hard as you can to educate every child on this planet. I hope you will keep
everyone hear me?
innovating to achieve the impact and sustainable growth that we all seek.
Yes.
Because if we do, I am confident that we can give
Mr. Khanna, there is actual noise coming from the back. I don't know who that's coming from, but
kids
I mean,
from
it's
every
if we're going to go
background,
live, then that's going to be
a
annoying for
future
real.
worthy
Yeah, it's because
of their
people.
talents and
Yeah,
their dreams.
If you are not talking, please do not say something or any little action. This thing is very, 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 very sensitive.
What about you mute everybody?
I can do that too. I can do that. So I will. Yeah. So folks, we are about to start the show. For those of you who are watching us live, so we are about to start the show right now in a few minutes. We already have our panelists here, and we're going to be bringing them one by one, and they will be introducing themselves to you, and you will know who we have the privilege today to have here on this platform. Yes, we have a lot of powerful people here this afternoon. So, folks, if you're just joining us, this is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. We are privileged to have with us one of those, some of those powerful women from the Liberian community. These are professional women, and we also have some gentlemen, because we cannot forget about the gentlemen. We have about 2 gentlemen on here. They came to maybe help our ladies to make the case on their advocacy against gender-based violence, and they're going to be educating us what they know, what they have heard, some documentary evidences that they may have, to tell us exactly what is going on in our country and how we can collectively work together, talking about those in government as well as those in private sectors and those in advocacy. Everybody, how we can collectively come together to solve Liberia's problem when it comes to gender-based violence. I personally received information today from Liberia with some disturbing information about one government official, very big person. I may not break the news today because I'm going to send a message to the person to really do the right thing. I mean, this particular show by these women could not be timely, could not be more timely. This is the man who is a key government official. He is abusing. Hey, somebody have their phone. Please mute your phone if you are not the one talking. Maybe I need to. Yeah. Maybe I need to take care of that. 1 second. So yes, for those of us who really have problem with government, with some government officials, the way they abuse power, this will concern you. This man is a government official, somebody in authority, who threatens everybody who try to intervene. Is abusing his wife, and the lady is trying to get out of the marriage. He refused. He's refusing the divorce, and now there are a lot of other components that you will be surprised to hear. We're going to be discussing that maybe tomorrow, but I want to make sure first that we have the panelists we have here today. I'm going to be calling them by name, and they will be talking to tell you, our audience, as to why they are here and the concern they have for our country. So the first person will be Hawa Mesgar. Hawa Mesgar, unmute your phone and you introduce yourself to the audience. You have 1 minute 30 seconds. Welcome to the SKTV.
Thank you, Sekou. Thank you for having us. Good afternoon. My name is Hawa Metzger. I'm a justice advocate, social worker that I'm concerned about the violations and human rights violations in Liberia. And I'm glad to be on this platform today to discuss these issues with all these great women. I salute all our women on this platform today for coming forward. Thank you.
Oh, that was short and sweet. All right, the next person will be Ann Dora. Ann Dora, welcome to SKTV.
Thank you. Nice to be a part of this discussion. I'm Ann Dora. Bormi, let me pronounce the last name for you.
All right.
Over the years, I've been involved in planning and development in Liberia. I've been involved with national and county-wide planning. I've also had the opportunity to work in the education sector. So basically, that is what I've been involved with in Liberia for the past 15 years.
Okay, that's fair enough. And then the next person on that list will be Tech Cole. Talvina Cole. Talvina Cole, welcome to SKTV.
Thank you, Seku. Thank you for having us. Hello, everybody.
Can you move to the middle of your screen a little bit?
Yes, let me sit up.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's
better?
good. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Talvina Cole. I live in Texas. What I bring to the discussion is a background in nursing. I'm also a volunteer here, volunteering as the victims advocate with my local sheriff department here. I also volunteer as an advocate too with domestic violence and sexual abuse safe house in my neighborhood as well. But all of that is not really important. What is most important is I bring that passion, that desire to see women issues addressed more meaningfully and in a better way. So I am looking forward to that discussion for us to just brainstorm, have a healthy discussion, and look at ways to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Talvina. That was Talvina Cole. And the next person on the list will be Eva Sa. Eva Sa, if you're there, go ahead and mute your phone or mute your line, and then you introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Seku, thank you for bringing this show and having it. Hello, ladies. Hello, gentlemen. It's nice to meet everyone. My experience is in healthcare administration, but when it comes to women's rights and ensuring that we have what we need, I'm very passionate about it and want us to have a healthy conversation as to how we can improve it in our community.
All right. That was short again and sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, and the next person I will be Jackie. Jackie, if you're there, unmute your phone and then you introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. My name is Jackie Sai, and I live in upstate New York. And I want to say hello to everybody around the world, most especially our people back home. My passion, of course, is in development work. We do a lot of development work with women in rural areas, but mostly economic empowerment. And I look forward to exchanging views with the people on the panel. Yeah, thank you.
All right. That was Jackie. So the next person will be Grace. Grace, if you're there, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Goa. I'm the founder of Legacy Holding Foundation, and I'm also a strong supporter against violence against women and children. So that's why I'm here today to speak on what we have as our discussion, especially with emphasis on what is going on in Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then the next person will be Zota. Zota, the name is Deconti, right?
I will clarify that.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Deconti Damida J by Facebook, but my legal work name is Zota Cien. I am a clinical and mental health and behavior addiction specialist. I live and work in the great state of Minnesota. And what I hope to bring today to this discussion is to shed a little light on trauma and how it impacts children, as that's the area that I work with. I work with children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have somebody that just came late, so we have to accept that person to come back. Oh no, somebody who left and then they came back. So yeah, so then we go to the next person, the next panelist. That would be Evan Winford. I'm sorry, the last name not saying it clearly, but I think it's Arvin. Arvin Winford. Arvin, welcome to SKTV, and please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Segu, and thank you to the rest of the panelists. My name is Arvin Winford. In Liberia, I serve as the program manager for the African Network for the Prevention and Protection Against Child Abuse and Neglect. So that means that it tells you that I work on children issue. Working on children issue, there's a very thin line to also work on gender issue as well. I'm presently in the United States as a Fulbright scholar supported by the United States State Department. So I am widening my horizons at the American University, Washington College, on international trafficking, especially as it relates to preventing trafficking in women and children. And I also double up doing my professional affiliation at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation in Washington, D.C. So I come to this table with a vast experience, more than 15 years, working on children and women issues. The Liberian perspective. I've also worked extensively in Uganda, Nigeria, and Kenya, and now I'm doing some work in the United States. So it is my ardent hope as it also goes along, to be able to give you some added value as we move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was powerful. That's one of the panelists, Mr. Arvin Winford. And then the next person on the list will be, in Liberia, we always say every successful man, we have a good woman. But for every successful woman too, we have some good men. And one of the men just spoke. And the next person will be another man, Mr. Steve Boley, who is my own brother too. Steve Boley, welcome to SKTV. And please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Mr. Kane, and thanks to my fellow panelists here. My name is Steve Boley. I'm commonly known on Facebook as Moses. I come to this conversation with a bachelor's in Christian studies, master's in professional counseling and psychology, and I'm also pursuing my doctorate as we speak in psychology, general psychology. I've worked with different populations, different age groups, what diagnosis, addictions. I've worked with trauma patients, and I work with, like I said, different age group, different sexuality as well. So I think we're all suited to be part of this conversation, and we come here to also support our women and our children. As always, like I've always said, and I will always say, Liberian people are the most important people on earth, and the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. That is a fact that I believe and I live with. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steve Boley. And the next person on here for us to introduce to you will be Francis. I'm not saying the last name. Francis, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you very loud and clear, but just like you were kind of realize we're not even seeing your face so yeah, please yeah.
Okay, yeah, I am.
To the camera and then introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm Francis Hoff. I'm a retiree. I have raised.
Can you sit up? Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah, I'm a retiree. Friends help on Facebook. I do a lot of things with young women, and particularly young women in Liberia. The things that I do primarily own, but I've always been an advocate for women, no matter where or what position. And I think we need to have a voice, and a much stronger voice than we do. So I'm just interested in trying to hear the people who are actually working in this have to say and have to the table.
Hold on, I just muted everybody. So let me unmute this person that was just speaking. That was Francis. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, did you hear anything?
Yeah, everybody hear you. I'll just try to mute everybody so that way we can that will reduce the background noise.
As I said, I've always been an advocate for women and women having a voice. I have raised many daughters. Not all of them were my own. And I really am interested in hearing what these young or old people have to say about what is happening now in Liberia. I go back and forth. If it were not for this corona thing, I'd probably be there. Yeah. And so I really am interested in hearing what is actually being done, because most of what isn't done is infuriating. So that's why I'm here today.
All right, welcome, and I want to say thank you for joining SKTV. So the next person will be Veronica Lewis. Veronica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to SKTV. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, panel. My name is Veronica Lewis, and I live in Minnesota. I'm in a ministry, outreach. My ministry is outreach. I have the Meeting at Elam ministry. Currently, what we do is I work with seniors, both home and abroad, and I just donate to them whatever the ministry can do to those seniors, because I believe that in your latter days, you should enjoy it before you leave this earth. And my ministry is also PJs and Blanket Project. That project is we donate pajamas and receiving blankets to underprivileged women. I feel that is the most important part of a woman's life, when she brings her child and she's able to bundle her child in warmth, like I did when I had my baby. Currently, I'm privileged to be part of this panel because the abuse that is going on, especially in Liberia, between women and children. It's overwhelming and it's heartbreaking. So today, I hope that we can be able to come together with a not solution to help these women in Liberia to be able to speak up against abuse without being afraid. I'm hoping to learn a lot today from this younger panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. That was powerful. And the next person will be Massa Dupo. Massa, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to our audience. Massa, welcome to SKTV.
Thank you, Sekou. Thank you for giving us the opportunity at this platform to be able to come together as Liberian women and share ideas on those things that are affecting us and also affecting our society, as well as innocent children every day in and out of Liberia. So I'm just grateful to be here. By way of introduction, my name is Masa Dopo. I come to this discussion, this conversation with a background in human development, family science. I did my master internship in a clinical setting, so I also have some clinical knowledge in mental health and substance abuse. I am a, let's say, master social worker in the state of Delaware. I do work with the Department of Health and Social Services in the leadership management area. I've not been able to, with my new position, I've not been able to do a lot of interaction with clients except our state vendors. But I always miss that part of me because I'm more like a person, people person. So I always want to be interacting with people who are affected. But I was able to get a contractor position at a mental health facility. So I'm working closely with families who have been victims of substance abuse as well as mental health. So I'm really happy to be here. And my work in Liberia has been actually we focus on children who have been affected by everyday abuse, everyday, whether it is physical, whether it's mental health, whether it's emotional violence or sexual violence or rape. I'm really, really passionate about that population. And I know a lot of us on this platform, we are also. So this discussion is really good. And I hope that Sekou, you'll be able to continue with this, if not this panel, but at least you'll bring other women who also are passionate about what we are going to discuss here today. So thank you. And also thank you for bringing the guys on board, because we cannot discuss women issues without men who we think are always our people who are victimizing us. So I'm happy that some of our brilliant guys are here to discuss with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Master. Thank you. Once again, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming. And folks, if you just joining us, this is SKTV. Today, we are privileged to have a very powerful panel. The panelists here today, I couldn't ask for more. Trust me. We have a lot of brilliant, powerful, intelligent, professional women and men that have gathered here today to discuss issue of national importance. And this time around, it's going to be gender-based violence. So if you look at the whole thing of gender violence, Liberia is now, on top of the list for some reason. But now, when we ask, I think one person, I think I skipped one person, but I'm not too sure. I'm not seeing. Somebody left the line, but I don't know if that person is still here. But let me see. Okay, I'm seeing Eva, I'm seeing Zota, I'm seeing Talvina, I'm seeing Grace, Arvin, Steve Bully, and then who else? Let me see here. Okay, who else I'm not seeing? Okay, I'm seeing Francis, Masa, Eva, and Eva, and who else? Masa, yeah, nobody else. I'm not seeing the other person. Maybe the person probably left the line.
Patience, I'm here. I'm on the line.
Patient on the line, but how come I'm not seeing patient?
Yeah, because in Liberia, LEC is down and we are in darkness.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's why, because I'm not seeing you at all. So patient is live with us from Liberia. Patient, I apologize for that. I didn't see you. LEC is too bad. LEC won't put me in trouble. So patient, please go ahead and introduce yourself. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to the viewers there. I'm off. My video is off because there's no current.
That's okay.
So I just have to leave it on audio. So I'm Patience Escotier. On Facebook, I'm Tamia Patience Escotier. And then I work exclusively with youth development issues in Liberia currently. And of course, I'm a women rights activist, one of the active young women out there pushing for women's rights issues. And I'm glad to be here today. Thanks to TL Cole for inviting me. And I also look forward to an amazing discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much. So one of the first people I want to bring on here will be Talvina Cole. She is one of the brain behind this particular discussion today. To her credit, she reached out to me, and everybody else got involved. And this is something I believe they want to do more. This is not just going to be the end. This will be the beginning of it. So my first question is going to go to her. So Talvina, please unmute your phone, unmute your line. Let me ask you this question. Now, in Liberia, a lot of people don't even see those whole idea of gender violence as a problem. They will say, oh, our family member, somebody, I forgot about it. Don't go to the court. Don't call the police. So how is this kind of violence is viewed around the world?
Well, around the world, I mean, violence is violence. But we have to look at it. If you want to look at it from the context of, from Liberia's standpoint, there are many reasons why people would decide to not want to go to court or, leave it as is. It could be cultural. It could be no trust in the system. It could be for their own personal reasons. So there are a lot of reasons why they wouldn't want to pursue it. It could be for, for the children's sake or for the family's sake or for they feel somehow responsible for the act. So, but globally, violence is violence and it's viewed that way. It's just the way how it's being handled, maybe in our country versus other countries. And that's what we're here to discuss. But it is viewed the same way, to answer the question.
Okay. I have another question. Maybe somebody else may want to respond to that, but I will take one person. I will take Deconti to respond to my next question. I'm not actually going line by line. I'm just randomly picking people.
Yes, I
So
was just concerned.
so Zota is the name that really appears. So I'm sorry if I call you Zota.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So uh, hold on. Where is she? So Zota gonna be the one answering this important questions for us. It has to do with whether or not there is a law in Liberia against gender violence, and if there is a law, why is it that the law is now being applied? Why is the things that are going on in Liberia and we are not seeing any action from the government or people responsible for gender and female issues? Do we have a law in Liberia in the first place? If you think so, if yes, so why is it that the law is not being applied?
Before I answer the question, Siku, the feedback from the audience is that the volume is low. So
my volume or your volume? Which
your
volume
is low?
Mine?
Yes.
All right, I can work on that. That's no big deal. So you go ahead and answer the question. I'll increase my volume right now.
Okay. To answer the question, I do believe there are laws in Liberia that addresses concerns of violence towards women. There were laws put in place during Ellen's time, and I'm not sure if those laws have been revisited to amend during WIA's administration, but there are laws. However, the laws in Liberia, as we see in all areas, or most areas, are not implemented. The laws are not respected. And so it is very hard to really call it a law if the government itself is not putting in the resources to make sure that from the governmental level all the way down to the citizen, that people are respecting and abiding by the laws. That is my opinion of the question.
So, okay, I will take somebody else to answer. Okay, anyway, by the way, I try to improve the volume. I want to make sure that you can hear me. This time around, I will go to Masa. Masa, please unmute your phone. You're going to be the one to answer my next question, which will be how effective are these rules in Liberia, in the world, and particularly, my sister just said that there should be a law, but are those laws effective, if at all? Why is it that they are not, applying the laws? Is it because the government does not want to, or people appointed in the position to implement those laws are not up to the task? What is going on?
Thank you for the question. I'm sorry, I just want to go back a little bit with
that's fine.
On Talvina's question.
And by the way, I want to make sure that people can hear me because the audience said they were not hearing me, so I increased the volume. So I want to make sure that you can hear me. Let me see what people are saying here so that the conversation can be the way we want it. But you may continue. So folks, if you're watching, let me know if you can hear me. Go ahead, Masa.
Yeah, I just wanted to add up to what Talvina said when I saw the question about gender-based violence and why people are not coming out to tell that story and stuff. And I think that she makes a lot of good points. And I wanted to say that a lot of women in Liberia, they are not coming out to tell that story. And prior to this discussion, I did a research on Liberia's gender-based violence in Liberia, and that was a 2011 research. And what they found out was that 68% of women have been affected, especially by rape. They have been affected by men, and a lot of the cases are out there. They have been unreported only because people are afraid. People are afraid to be stigmatized. People are afraid for people to chastise them or call them liars or to just dash down their story. And they are also afraid that they will not be able to get the support that they need. So a lot of these cases, people want to come out to tell that story, but the environment does not allow them to tell that story. So I just wanted to add that to what my sister said about the fear of women not coming out to tell that story. And we also see that going on with children. And a lot of these cases that they recovered in our 2011 research report, World Health Organization, I think it was some health organization that did that study, and a lot of these cases they were done. The abuse were done by children who are under the age of 15. So just imagine, when children under the age of 15 are afraid to come out to tell the story. What makes you think that their parents are going to come out to tell their own story? Because these are the children who are in a household. They have been watching abuse. They have seen how their parents have been abused by their fathers or their boyfriends or intimate partners. So if they are afraid, if they are afraid to come out to tell that story, their mothers as well will not be able to come out to tell that story. And again, like I said, our society does not allow people who are traumatized, who are abused, to be able to come out to tell that story freely, and they don't give these kind of people the attention or the support that they need to survive. So that's one of the many reasons that gender-based violence is going to be an issue in Liberia, and the challenges are just going to be growing.
All right, thank you, Master. Thank you very much. And yeah, so what I will do moving forward, after when a particular person answers questions, I will also open that to the panelists entirely. If somebody want to add something to what a person just said, we can do. But the next person we're going to go to will be Hawa Mesgat. Hawa Mesgat, please unmute your phone.
I didn't address your question, but that's okay.
Yeah, but you didn't address the question, but because you stopped, I thought you're done with it. But if you still want to address it, that's fine. You still got about 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, the issue of gender-based violence, we do have laws in Liberia, and I think with the whole female genital mutilation came in, I think gender-based violence was also part of it, because people see it as also as something that women were affected by, not just women, but children. So we do have laws in Liberia that are protecting women, but the people who make those laws, they are not people who can implement those laws. So that's the challenges that we are faced with all of the laws that we have in Liberia. The laws are there, but we don't have implementers. And people who are making the laws, they are not people that we can trust to implement the laws.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. That's a good point. So, Hawa Mesgat, I want to say welcome once again to the SKTV. So, my question here to you, everybody talk about, the laws are there, but yesterday is happening. So, what do you think some of the consequences or maybe the effect of those gender-based violence if they are not being addressed properly? What are some of the impact on the people? That, especially the victim.
Well, for our audience listening, it's good to give specifics and statistics as well, and give facts. So I'm going to go first on my notes that I have here. Article 21 of the 1986 Constitution also frowns on torture and inhuman treatments when it comes to every person in Liberia. Article 12 and Article 20 also guarantees human dignity, human life, human freedom, and liberty of persons. So we do have laws in Liberia. It is in our article of our Constitution. I'm going to go ahead and I drop in there. There are many reasons why the laws are not effective. We can step in and say, well, it can be about incompetency. People are not applying the law and applicable to our people, and the laws are not effective. And then we can also say that the cost of impunity in Liberia, where justice is not precedence in Liberia. So there's many reasons why the laws aren't effective, but the laws are there. It's in our Constitution. Incompetency, just situational selective justice, and also our people also not being aware of their value and their rights to the law.
Okay. So now, folks, for those of you who are on, I may go to all of you one by one, but if anybody within the panelists want to add to what Hawa just talked about, you can do that. But
yeah, I would like to add to that.
Yeah, okay, you would like to add to that, then that's Jackie. Yeah, Jackie, go ahead. What do you have to add to what Sister Hawa just said?
So most of the time when people are talking about rules and regulations, they quote the Declaration of Human Rights, and they quote the Beijing Declaration or CEDAW, or they go to the African Charter on Human Rights, the African Solemn Declaration of Gender Equality in Africa, Agenda 2016, the Maputo Protocol, and they say, but Liberia has ratified all of these treaties and agreements, so why are they not following it? The thing to understand is that when a country signs these agreements, most of them are not self-executing. So they are not judicially enforceable. You have to come home as a country and say, okay, I've signed on the ECOWAS Supplementary Act on Equality, or I've signed on the African Rights of a Child. And it says that a child is entitled to education. So let me look at my laws now and see how I can implement this. Because by signing it, it doesn't mean anything. It just means you signed it. You have to come home and say, okay, now that I've signed it, these values that are in this agreement that I've signed, I have to put them in my legislation. Now let's look at just one thing. You talk about reproductive rights of women. I was looking at the budget in 2016, 2017. The budget for family planning was 139,000. It is now 33,000. How are you following that? If you say that in 2016, 2017, the education budget was 76 million, and today it's 85 million, but yet you've cut subsidies, you've cut allotments to school. The Ministry of Health, the budget now is 81 million as compared to 54 million in 2016. But yet you've cut allotments to hospitals, you've cut family planning for women. So as I agree with Howard that there's no follow through. You have to say, okay, these values that I hold dear, I'm going to enshrine them in my legislation. This Domestic Violence Act that was passed, we have a male-dominated legislature who decided that, oh yeah, we're going to pass this law, but we're going to take off FGM, right? We're going to take it out because we're not going to make it. Because of course, when it comes to women, then tradition comes into place. Oh, it's tradition. We have to respect tradition. But tradition is not stagnant, right? It's moving. You have to move with the times, and I'm one person who I've written a lot about FGM, and I say, look, FGM is only one component, right, of the Sandy society. So when people see Sandy, they say FGM. No, you can do away with that practice and still keep your tradition intact, So when we say, oh, we've signed this and we've signed that, yes, we've signed it, but we have to look at the laws and say, okay, now that they've signed it, have they put it into law? And it's the Ministry of Gender who's the arm that should make sure that these values are enshrined in these laws. Are they working, or is that ministry working? And of course, they've cut their budget too. So, so there's a disconnect between the laws and the ratification of these agreements and treaties and what the Liberian government is doing. Sorry, I get agitated.
That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, somebody want to say something.
Yes, this is Steve. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Steve, what you want to add? I think ladies before gentlemen, Zota want to say something. Let Zota talk, and then they will bring Steve.
Sure.
It'll be short, Steve.
That's okay.
So I wanted to add in composition to all that has been stressed by Hawa and by Sis Jackie. Also the rampantness of abuse of power. I really believe it's not that people don't know their rights, but if the people who are in positions of authority are abusing those laws and going scot-free, and that the culture of impunity continues, then people will get in a place where they are helpless, because they feel like if the person who is my perpetrator is someone in position of power, then there's no justice for me.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Can I say something?
Yeah, who is that?
Francis.
All right, Francis. The next question was coming to you. Please allow Steve to add what he wanted to add. The next question is going to go to you directly.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Steve Bole, what do you want to add?
Well, I want to agree with all the women that have spoken very well, and they've spoken to the issues, which are 100% truth. The statistics, the laws, and everything that were brought forth to us here today, they're truth and they're on the books. And I like the fact that one of the women said that you can have the laws, but it will take the people to enforce it. and that's true. But this is where I want to come in a little bit because I think personally the component that is missing within this whole thing is not only the culture, our culture in Liberia. Now, this notion of us saying the culture of impunity makes it sound as though this is a normal thing. Just our culture. Let's look at our culture. Let's forget about impunity. Let's look at our culture first of all. In our culture, and I will be very realistic here. In our culture, people shy away from our parents. Some older women, some older men are victims of abuse, molestation, and everything else. So what they've done, they've normalized it as, hey, don't talk about it. Don't even address it. Don't bring it. Or that man, that big shot. If you try it, that man will put us in trouble because we are poor people. But another thing that is mind blowing is this though. You have people who are perpetrators. They are the ones who should be calling the shots at the same time. I give you most recent example. You have the justice minister, the assistant justice minister, goes and hits children, injure them, and these same children, he takes them to court. That tells me, from a psychological standpoint, that not only that the system has a problem, but the justice minister, he himself has a problem. So it tells me that either he's a victim or he's a perpetrator who's in charge, and it just continue to be a cycle, a bigger cycle that we're in. So I think if we should bring that component to light, educate our people and empower them that it is okay to speak and say, this person touched you, whether somebody did something about it before or not. It is just okay for you to talk about it. Most of the cases in the United States and other parts of the world where perpetrators are caught is because the people spoke about it. So we must empower our people. We must empower our women and our children to start to speak out. They shouldn't keep it, the tradition, this culture of let's go talk it under the Palawa Hall and let's go talk it as a family. We need to drop it and let people be empowered to talk and speak out. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have time to comment.
Can I make an input?
Who's that?
Patience.
Yeah, the patient. Let's bring in Francis. Then you can come in after that, because I want to ask Francis about what we just talked about. By many of the panelists about the law is there, and the perpetrators are the one to make decision for the people. So, do we know actually what is the problem? Not just this government, past government and this government. Why is it that they have failed to implement the law when it comes to gender-based violence? What is the problem? What can we really focus on? Yeah, Francis.
Well, primarily because whether it's this government, the last government, or however many governments in the past, is because you have the fox guarding the chickens. And that's really basically what goes on, whether it's in Liberia or anywhere else. And the way people around the world are dealing with this issue is that they are giving voice to their children, primarily the girl children, but also men suffer abuse also. But you have to give people voice. And young women particularly, I haven't dealt with a lot of young men, but young women particularly have to know that they have a voice. They have to know that they can speak out. Even one thing that was shocking to me is that even with adults, you find that when these issues happen, there's a guy beats his wife, and talking about culturally, because the young man that just spoke said most of what I want to say. But even if a guy beats his wife and the wife either goes to his into her own family, this is where our cultural craziness comes in, because they almost invariably, as you mentioned, say, oh, well, y'all, let's try to talk this thing now. Oh, but you can't put everything out there, man. You would make the family ashamed, or you're making us shame, and all of that sort of nonsense. And this is in us. That's what we do. We are constantly sweeping things out under the rug. And we're constantly making the victims feel like they are somehow responsible for their victimization. But the same reason you cannot stop the whole, say, corruption, for example, it's the same reason you cannot deal with gender-based issues if you won't give the children a voice and if you won't have culpability. You started the program talking about this guy who's beating his wife and she wants to leave the marriage and he says no. How can you tell somebody no if they say they want to leave? That's some craziness. ITEL sent me a thing, I believe, this morning where this guy is sitting in jail talking about he killed his wife and now he regrets and because she wanted to leave. That's nuts. We have to stop nonsense. It's nuts. You can have all the statistics in the world or whether they put monies towards it. Even if it's just individually, we have to talk to children. We have to talk to young women. I was trying to work with a school in Basso, and I asked the mayor at the time, I said, what happens to the young ladies? Because they only went up to like 6th grade. Government school is a mess. The children, the time I started dealing with them, they were sitting on the floor. I had to find benches and what have you. I said, what happens to these young ladies and the young men after they leave this little small piece of education they're getting? He said, well, the young men become pan drivers and the girls get married. Well, these girls that were getting married were 12 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. Isn't there an age where it's too young for girls to get married? You know, 18. Yeah. So these are the sorts of things. And if I thought that's why they had a gender, whatever, so that you go after these things. And if somebody is marrying a 12-year-old girl, he's committing a crime, you know?
All right.
And
we can expand on it later on. Since we have a lot of people who have not spoken yet. Yeah, we will expand on it later on. I'm about to bring Mr. Irvin, but before I bring Mr. Irvin on, our sister from Liberia wanted to ask something. Are you listening, Sister Patient?
Yeah, sure. I'm here.
All right, go ahead and add what you wanted to add.
Thank you, SK. All of the previous speakers, they have touched the issues. I just want to add to Jackie. She spoke about these international protocols that Liberia signed up to that speaks to issues of gender-based violence. And Liberia, they get signed up to these protocols and the implementation is poor. But currently in Liberia, when it comes to the issue of gender-based violence, I think there is lack of interest when it comes to government actions in curtailing these issues. Because I'm a young woman who worked exclusively with a lot of young people around. We've organized several protests demanding justice for victims or survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. We've interacted with, I want to set a point with the past government and this government. So is there where I see the lack of interest? There's a shrinking space in our work where we cannot, efficiently function because no matter how we speak out, no matter how we protest, no matter how we raise our voices, if government cannot give justice or set precedents that will be able to curtail these issues, we will not lead anything. Nothing we will lead. I can remember 2019, July 4th, we raised our voices for there were increase in the cases of sexual and gender-based violence. Most of the girls and women that were raped, they were raped to death. And then it caught our attention as young people. We group ourselves, we went to the president, we had a meeting with him and we told him that we had this idea that we can present to you. We're willing to work with the government, Ministry of Gender, to be able to set up a national youth task force in Liberia where we can set up community networks and build strong ties with police zonal stations so that we can work exclusively with community leaders to be able to curtail these issues. We presented our concept note up to the day's date. As I speak to you, each time we call the minister of our portfolio, that is Mr. Choko, he literally, talk to us in a way that is kind of insulting. I mean, I'm on this platform without fear and favor. I will say the truth. They know me. I mean, I don't back off on that. These people, they have less interest in curtailing issues of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia. Countless times, they will not pay attention to these things. So it's going to increase. And when it comes to our culture too, like one of the panelists stated that it is the culture of talk about the culture of impunity. Yes, it's something that is widely, I can say rape is a culture. Rape is part of our daily life. Because if we have an increase in teenage pregnancy, girls below the age 18 getting pregnant, and it is normal in our society. And our rape law says that if you have sexual relationship with someone under age 18, whether they agree or not, is rape, then how do we see that? So rape is normal in our society. It's very, very normal. And then I just want to speak lastly on the issue of FGM. I cannot remember that particular date the article was printed, but was published rather by Frontage Africa. But surprisingly, I saw an article that the current gender minister, supports FGM. And these are people that sit at the helm of our country's leadership, make decisions for generations to come. Their children can never be part of these things. They can never give their kids to these kind of practices, but yet they make decisions for other people's children to be part of it. They subject them to it for decades of years. After we've struggled all of our lives, all of the days of our lives rather, to get this thing done, and they have come to sit at the end of our country's leadership and support this very thing that we struggle to end. So these are issues that we are faced with. I work exclusively on the field. I know what people are going to make a point.
Yeah, sure. You make a point.
Yes, let her come in.
No. Yeah, she's going to come in. I want to go to Mr. Evan Winford first. Because I have a special question I want to ask him, and then after. Okay. This is
another.
You just want to add?
Yeah. While I agree that gender-based violence is an issue, a very big issue in Liberia and in most countries, and I must point to some of the challenges, which includes weak institutional framework. We know that the ministries that should be pushing these issues forward are a little bit weak. We also have noticed over the years that there is no clear path in terms of reporting GBV. Like I work in the education sector for about 6 years, and normally there were always rape cases. When a student is raped, you don't know where to go first. You don't even know where to report the case. I mean, everything was like, go to the police or go to the Ministry of Gender. There was no clear pathway. So those are some of the issues. We also know that the government over the years have made some efforts in terms of developing policies. We have the national policy on girls' education. I had the opportunity to draft that policy. We also have the national gender policy. It was revised, I know, but implementation of these instruments have been a serious problem. But coming back to the issue of GBV, although government have the sole responsibility of ensuring the safety of all women, girls, and children, but I think parents and the communities have a major role to play to ensure that women and children are safe in their homes and they are also safe in communities. Because most of these cases, in terms of domestic violence, rape, and other issues, it happens in the home. It happens in the community. So we have to start addressing those issues. Communities have to also support government in terms of ensure that we mitigate these problems that are slowly creeping into our society. I just wanted to add that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you very much. That was Sis Anne. and Dora. And then the question I want to ask you, Mr. Winford, is that we blame the government for the most part for not doing enough in the fight. But what specifically role could a gender ministry play in the fight against gender violence? What role could they? Are they really playing it? If not, what is going on?
Good. Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank the rest of the panelists. I think they brought the issue on board just as unfolding in Liberia. But it's also important, I will answer that your question, to also, as we discuss the issue of gender-based violence, to look at it from the gender perspective. When you're talking about gender-based violence, basically we're talking about violence against a person based on their vulnerability, which normally is influenced by our culture, our socialization, the biological differences, lack of access to resources, in an unequal power relationship. So for the Liberian perspective, why do we even have gender-based violence? We have to consider it from the background that the issue of gender-based violence in Liberia is a product of the social construction, which actually condones male dominance over female. Yep. Taking that into consideration, then one may want to ask, why do we have these number of cases of gender-based violence over there? We have to take into consideration because there have been lack of access to resources by women. Before the Ellen regime came into power, you realize that a lot of women were not even in certain strategic positions. What were the reasons for that? They didn't have a lot of women going to school. Our culture deadened them, because we're talking a lot of culture, prefer the male child having education compared to the girl child. All right. So based on the fact that women were not, quote unquote, educated, power, given the opportunity, you find out that they could not be in leadership. And I continue to maintain that we, all of us, as advocates of gender issues, no one can discuss or tackle a woman's issue more than the woman herself. That is all the reasons why it is only but essential that women be empowered. And yes, when I'm talking about empowerment, I'm just talking about election time. We put in women. That's where the problem comes in. All right? We're talking about they having access to the resources of the nation, they being educated so that they can be able to influence decision. Now, to the issue of what we think is a gender ministry playing its role as it is required. The Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, you'll realize one of the new ministries. It came out of a lot of advocacy and work, and Anne was also involved in that. I think at the time she was working with the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs. So almost everything that needs to be right under their area. They have the Women and Children Unit at the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs. Until later on, we have the Ministry of Gender. Now we have Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection. Basically, to be able to design policies, to be able to implement those policies, and it's a government institution. But the difference between the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection compared to other ministries is this particular ministry is there both as a policy implementer and also as an advocate. That's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
They are within the government, but they are also advocating on behalf of women and children. So you see, they come to the table with two babies. They are a government institution, then they are also representing the most vulnerable segment of our society, the women and children.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Have they been able to do that over the years? That is the question we need to ask.
Thank you. That was very brilliant. I know you still have more to say, but you will say more.
I just wanted to make one single point.
Go ahead, because I want to go to some of the sisters that have not said anything at all. Sister Grace is here, and she's just there shaking her hair, and she likes what you're saying, but I'm going to bring her so she can have an input on that particular point.
I wanted to talk a little bit on the FGM, because maybe I may not have enough opportunity to do that. The issue, you will agree, just going February 6th, You know, we celebrated the International Day of Zero Tolerance against FGM. You know, every year Liberia celebrates that. All right. Why is it now? If you go to the Ministry of Education, and the reasons why I continue to say Anne, because she has been involved in most of these activities, despite the fact that she was quote unquote small government official, but she also was an advocate, you know. If you go to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, they will tell you that we have taken the certificates from all of these traditional leaders. But guess what? Go in the community and say you're advocating the FGM. The politicians that we are talking about, they are afraid to talk against FGM for one simple reason. What is the reason? The fear of losing votes. That is where the problem is. So I know sometimes women advocates, they can be tempted to support politicians. But those advocates who are supporting politicians can we now begin? We are going to elections October 2020, senatorial election. 15 senators going to be elected. Can we now begin to tell those candidates who will be coming for our vote, right? And then we'll be able now to move to 2023. In the absence of that, we're going to have politicians being elected, and they are not going to champion this particular issue because they do not want to quote unquote make the traditional leaders afraid to go against them. Then beyond that, it's important. One of the panelists talk about that. Can we also carry on the traditional Sunday society with what the issue of FGM? Those are issues that we need to be bringing on board.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Now we're going to go to Sis Grace. Grace, I believe you heard the question clearly. The brother was trying to address, but I want you to have a take on this particular question because it's very important. We have a gender ministry. Why do you think is the role of the gender ministry in the face of all of those things we just talked about, violence against women, gender-based violence as a whole, and all the rapes, and a lot of things going on in the country. So what is the role of the gender ministry? Are they really playing their role? If so, then what's going on? If not,
Well, Sekou, as you can see, as we all can see, the gender ministry is not working for the Liberian people right now. And the thing is that this is not only unique to Liberia. One of every 4 countries with the problem with violence against women and girls, one of every 4 countries, the laws does not work there for them. So this is not really unique to Liberia. But my thing is that if Liberians can stand up, because there should be grassroots organizations in Liberia for women rights, because women's rights are also human rights. So there should be a grassroots organization that can stand up to these people and tell them that, look, we are not going to allow women to be abused and the girls to be abused and this thing going vain. They have districts, they have communities, they have community leaders. They can get together and stay against violence against women and girls in Liberia. And once the government sees that the people are standing up against these things, they will make sure that the laws work for them. It happened when we were in Africa during the wartime. They had these group of men that used to protect us in the evening when people go to bed. All these community watch a team, they used to protect us when armed robbers come in. The men, they used to stay all in the night and try to protect the women while we go to bed at night. They can start to do these kind of things, so that when the government see these kind of things and say that, okay, the people standing up for themselves, then the system will start to work. Because we know that in Liberia, a lot of people go to school, to college, and they graduate with social work degree. A lot of them, even most of the children I come in contact with, when you went to the university, you ask them, what you specialize in, what did you graduate, what you got your bachelor's degree, and they will tell you social work. Gender ministry is supposed to let those children work for them. If they include the children in the system and start to form groups and task forces for these children to start going into the community and seeing for the women to have people to report their cases to, have telephone numbers that connect with the police stations in Liberia, that a special team in the police station is just special to receive calls from women being abused and girls being abused. Then the system will start to work for the people in Liberia. But until the people can stand up, The system will not work for them, and it's all over the world. People are standing up now. In Kenya, the people start to stand up against violence against women and girls. So the United Nations is paying more attention to Kenya than anywhere else. They are sending aids, they are sending money for the people, for the system to work there for the Kenyan women, because the women then stood up. 243 million women were abused last year. They were abused sexually, domestic violence around the world. That data is not even correct, because if you look at that data for real, Liberia did not even report half of the abuse cases that happen in Liberia, because our people do not stand up for themselves. So I know the system is not working. I know that everything is not up to date, but until our people can stand up for their right, there will be no rights. And I just wanted to say that women's rights and children's rights are also human rights.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you very, very much. We still have some of our brilliant ladies that we haven't reached to. We have Eva Sa here. You don't know Eva Sa. She's so brilliant. But Eva Sa is going to be answering one of the important questions that we have here. Pretty much everybody's on this panel. They are all not only intellectual, but they are all eloquent. You know, when one person speaks and they're like, okay, this is the best. The next person speaks, then I don't know. I mean, you guys are doing great. From my opinion, I think I'm also getting a lot of good feedback from your appearance. People are telling me that you have a great panelist on here today, and people are really, really enjoying it. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay here, but people want to hear from you. A lot of people want to hear from you, so we will continue to bring everybody on. So let's ask Eva start this question. So people talk about what's going on in the country. Now, the government, I can assure you 100%, they are watching this platform right now, including the gender minister, and some of the people that work in there. So what do you think, Eva Sa, is the mechanism, or are the mechanisms that need to put in place to fight this inaction by the government or by the gender ministry? What needs to be done?
I think when we look at a lot of the issues that's going in Liberia, we always turn to the government to solve a lot of it, but they are a part of the issue. One of the main issue, because you have the gender ministry and they're connected with the government. They're supposed to work together. The gender ministry is supposed to help to implement the laws, and not only to implement the laws, but they're supposed to be out there finding out what's in the community and what other laws might be needed, or how we might need to amend the laws to make it better. But when you have certain people that are in certain positions, like certain government officials, and I'm going to say it, that are also part of the problem, or that are not willing to listen to the problem, because the gender ministry is part of the president's cabinet. So they're part of that cabinet. So if the gender minister comes and say, I have this problem, I need this to be solved, I need that to be solved, and it's not resolved, they are part of the government and they work for the government. But I think one of the components we're missing, we don't have enough advocate groups in Liberia, or even around, in the diaspora, that are for gender-based. When you sit and you talk about politics, everybody gets involved. But when you get these conversations going about gender-based violence, everybody falls back. Not a lot of people get involved. When you hear about the children being raped, or you hear about girls being raped, you get a little bit of people coming up to say something, but then they all just dress back. There's not enough pressure on the gender ministry to make them move. That's what I think. They're not going to move by themselves, and they're not going to do things by themselves. We, as the public, have to put pressure on them. And they themselves within the gender ministry have to have that competence, have to separate the culture that we have and bring in their expertise. So if you put somebody there that does not have these expertise and can separate the culture and know how to go about to make the culture change, then we're still going to have the problems that we have. So they have to separate that from themselves. You have to be competent enough to say that this is my job that I'm doing. I'm here to advocate for women, advocate for protection of children, and not when somebody call you on the phone, you don't listen for a particular case because that particular person might have problems with the president or might say something. And some people on this panel know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's those issues that we're having. And for me, I see it as a major conflict of interest, that you have to separate your culture. And even though the gender minister works for the president, but it's your job. You don't work for the president, you work for the people to ensure that we're protected. So we're lacking that competence. We're lacking that disconnect from, oh, this is my boss. We're lacking people that are professional and that not just on paper, but understand what needs to be done and how they can work with the community.
Thank you very much. That was a great point. And one of the
can I add up to what Eva said, if that's okay?
Who was that? Masa?
Masa,
yeah, for sure. Masa, go ahead. After you, we'll go to Sis Veronica, and she's going to tell us why is it that our religious leaders are not really involved when it comes to women issue. When it comes to politics, everybody get involved because money is involved in that. But when it comes to gender, equality, women's rights, children's rights, rape, and all those things, we have never heard them talking about it. So since Veronica is going to talk about that, let's go to Masa first to have an input on this. So sis Masa, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank Eva for raising those concerns. You know, Seko, we don't have institution in Liberia. We have individuals who are committed to another individual. They are not committed to the people. And even as a minister, even as a director, if you are in a public service position, the responsibility should be about the people. You should be concerned about the people, the welfare of the people. So you will never have a professional person in any kind of institution in Liberia who understands the values of their profession and who want to go there and make sure that they implement those ethics that are guiding their professional understanding of things that are occurring in Liberia. And that tells us about the Ministry of Gender. This Ministry of Gender has been very, very incompetent. They have been very, very not in the interest of the ordinary people. They are not in the interest of the Liberian people. And worst of all, it's just the mindset that they have that indeed that people can do things to anybody, especially children, and just be able to walk away like that. And especially when I actually involves another political person, it's like people say everybody in Liberia is related. Everybody knows everybody in Liberia. It's okay. So I can know you in Liberia. I can be friend with you. You can be my relative. But when it comes to profession, let's be able to distinguish our relationship. Let's build an institution of professionals. Let's be able to tell people, even if you're my pa, and I tell you, Daddy, it was wrong that you touched that little girl. Daddy, it was wrong that you tried to rape my mother, or you even tried to approach my mother's friend. Let's be able to stand to each other. Then we build an institution. We can build an individual. We build an institution. Because when these children grow up, they are going to be part of that institution. The ethics, the rules, the policies that we set up in that institution, that will be able to come and go right by those things. But when we continue to safeguard certain people in our group, in people who would think that, and we can do this because it's going to affect the government. We can do this; it's going to affect our friend. That the president friend over there. That the director. All these things. You are not building an institution. You are not developing our country. You are protecting perpetrators in our community who have abused innocent people, who have chastised women, who have raped women. You are protecting it. So my question to the Ministry of Gender, or people who are institutions who have been set aside to be able to look into these issues that are affecting women and children, how do they sleep at night? How do you sleep at night when a poor mother has to grieve every night, knowing that somebody in higher power have abused her child, her innocent child, or raped that person? How do you sleep at night? They will not tell you. They are happy. It's just about the money that people get now. But then when they leave power, they try to tell you, oh, there are certain things I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it because the president was going to fire me. But why are you telling us now? We don't care. We put you there because we think that you will do these things that will make the president to fire you. That would make your boss to fire you. Yeah. So go ahead and do these things. But your failure to do these things, and now you are not in that power. You want to tell us that, oh, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't because I was afraid. Please, we don't want to hear that. But
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
We need a task force, an independent body that will be able to pressurize people. If it costs that Liberia will not get grants, or the ministry agenda, who's supposed to be fostering the causes of women in Liberia and children. If it costs us to prevent the war for international community or the war band, whoever, if it costs us to stop them from giving grant to these people who are not doing their job, but they are to certify their house or build BB houses and cars, we should do it. We should have professional people. We should have committed people who will be committed to make sure that officers in Liberia who are supposed to fight women's issue, they are not getting grant because they are not doing a job. You don't pay somebody if they're not doing a job.
Thank you, Master. Thank you very much. I think Zota wanted to add after her. I saw Hawa hands also hand up. So let's go to Zota and then Hawa will come in. Then from there we go to Sis Veronica, who will answer the big question about why our religious leaders are not doing enough to actually help our people if it comes to gender-based violence. So go ahead, Zota, you're live.
Okay, so I wanted, before we move on into the next discussion topic, I wanted to bring us back to a theme that I hear us talk about. We say more people need to speak, more people need to tell their story. But we also have to remember there's a cycle of stigmatization that happens in societies, not just in Liberia, but all across the world, okay? And there's two things I want to bring up. The one big thing that comes up is victim shaming and victim blaming that causes people to not want to tell their story. And when you do the victim blaming, it's the best comparison I can give is to say that when you blame someone, there's some guilt aspect to it, right? I broke the glass. Guilt, I did something. So saying that you came and you're wearing that short skirt, how you expect a man not to look at you, right? And then there's victim shaming. I am a broken glass. There's something wrong with me. Therefore, these things that happen is okay. But there's one population that's often forgotten and not talked about. And that is the young children who trauma or these experiences happen to them in pre-verbal years, in years when they did not have the language to tell what happened to them. Those children they're unreported because their family don't even know the signs to look for, to even know that something happened to their child and to give that child a voice. So I think that awareness needs to be out there, and we need to have more discussions on how we can bridge that gap. I wanted to add that before.
That was a good point. So folks, if you just joining us, this is SKTV. Today we are lucky. We are very, very, very much privileged to have all these beautiful and intelligent, powerful women on here to discuss gender-based violence in Liberia. So I think we will encourage this kind of discussion on a weekly basis. It's very important. You know, if this was politics right now, where we leaked out the secret of the president and the government, you will see thousands of people here running to watch. You know, people talk about everything they want to talk about when it comes to serious issue that matter. A lot of people pay attention. I mean, very few people pay attention to that. So those of you who are really, stepping up to speak on these issues, I think I will give you guys a hands up. Anytime the platform is available, whenever you guys ready to come up and talk on this thing, I will make myself available. You want to do it weekly, you want to do it bi-weekly, it's up to you. I'm very much impressed, and I like the fact that you have the courage to do this. Not everybody will do that. So, Sis Veronica, I have a question for you. And why is it that our religious leaders are not doing enough, or we have not heard them actually enough talking about issue of gender-based violence and the rape and everything happening in our country? And what can they do at this point, to make sure that the impact is felt?
The sad thing about it, and I want to thank the panel, we really hitting, where we're supposed to be going with this conversation. The sad thing about it is the church supposed to be the haven for people who are abused and for the community. And the church and the state, it's always been church and state don't go together, but the church and the state has to work together in implementing abuse. The thing is, most of the abuse comes right from in the church. Most of these abuse because of authoritative hierarchy we have in the church. You have a pastor who's abusing the members of the church. And because he is a spiritual leader, the parents do not want to put the pastor in trouble. That's where we need to keep talking to these worshipers that the pastor is not God. The only thing the pastor work is to give you motivational, inspirational speech. He's not God. Listen to your children, and that's all I can tell people. Because when it comes to the church or religious thing, is very hard to deal with when you're dealing with the worshipers and their religion. And I try to tell them that listen to your children when they tell you they do not want to go to choir practice. Listen to them. Listen to them when they say, do not drop me off to the church. There's something going in the church that they are afraid of. And because of that, we leave our children vulnerable to these people. It's like the Catholic Church. If we didn't advocate, we wouldn't have known that so many boys were being molested. So it's the same with the church. Like I like what Moses said. The person who has been victim is in authority. Most of these pastors, we are not God. We have been victimized.
So the person who is the perpetrator,
yes,
who are the perpetrator are in government.
Has also been victimized. So if I'm coming that I've been victim, and you come to me as your spiritual leader to tell me that something's going on with your child, I haven't taken care of myself. So I really do not know the answer to give you. And that's what a lot of these churches, and then a lot of these churches are not, we have a lot of these churches that are very materialistic. So we're in a materialistic world. Everybody wants blessing. They want this blessing to come overnight. And we lose fact that our spiritual life is very important. That's one of the things we have to know. Know God for yourself. If you know God for yourself, you will not depend on another man to control your spiritual life within your family. That's one of the problems we have in when we say why the church's voices are not heard. Another thing is most of the churches have been bought. And in Liberia, there's a lot of abuse. If a pastor comes to talk, he gets beaten or he gets killed. There's nobody to voice for this missing pastor. So there's a lot of issue we have that we have to look into and see if we can advocate. Advocacy will be the key, even with the church and even with society.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much, folks. If you're just joining us, this is SKTV. We have a panelist discussion here, discussing gender-based violence in Liberia. So before I go to those who want to chip in, one of the sisters, Sis Ann, is here to speak. We have to give her the opportunity. I have one last question here. I think she will answer that question. Then after that, we will go by people who want to speak. You put your hand up. Then I will bring you on that you can speak on an issue that you want to talk about. Because we are covering a lot of things today. So once you put your hand up, and even if it is not your time to talk, you can bring out anything else, whether we have discussed it or something outside of what we have already discussed. You can bring it out as long as on the issue of gender-based violence in Liberia, in our country. So, Sis, and one of the questions I have for you. Right now, everybody agree that the gender-based violence is real in Liberia. So why, in you people in outside of Liberia, in the diaspora, women are very concerned about what's happening to the ladies, not only here, but ladies in Liberia. So why is it our women in power, ladies that got power, how come we are not seeing them in the vanguard of a fight, against gender-based violence? Why are they so silent? Including the vice president, the first lady, and other ladies who are in power. I'm not trying to politicize, but I just want to know, because they have the opportunity that you don't have, because they are on the ground and they also have some power to do, to effect some changes. So why is it that they are silent?
Well, I won't say that they are completely silent.
Okay.
I would like to say that I think they need to do more. Okay. They need to do more in terms of ensuring, firstly, that there are more women represented at every level in terms of political positions in various sectors. They also have to set example in terms of reaching out and advocating for women in the country. But I come back to the point that with all this, if we do not have a strong institutional structure that will push the agenda of women forward, we are not going to get anywhere. So firstly, we should start focusing on, we already have the policies, we have sufficient laws. The issue is the willpower to implement those laws. We have the justice system. I have had several cases. I even had a relative in Bomi County that was raped. And at the end, we pursued the case. It was like come and go and come. I mean, we had to make several rounds between Monrovia and Bomi. And at the end, the girl died. So there are many issues that we need to address. But once we do not have a strong institutional structure like the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Gender, the police, even there's no clear pathway in terms of girls being aware or women being aware to report issues confronting them, we will not solve these problems. So the willpower to implement the policies should be in place. A strong and people-centered Ministry of Gender should also be willing to take the lead in terms of bringing all the actors together. I don't see that coordination mechanism being in place. Also at the county level.
So you think they are doing something, but they are not doing enough?
No, they are not doing enough.
But I mean, I would say they are not doing anything, because I've not seen them doing anything at all. So can you point to something that you think that they have done so far?
Something I know that the Ministry of Gender has, over the years, they have tried in terms of putting in place the relevant policies. I know they have established offices in the 15 counties. They have gender focal points or gender offices that are there to handle the issues of those specific regions. So I know that they are trying, but they need to do more in terms of coordination and overall the funding in terms of supporting the Ministry of Gender is not available. So I think the government has to reprioritize in terms of allotting sufficient resources to support the work of the Ministry of Gender.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you very much. So those that put their hands up, I think Howard Mescat is she wanted to chip in. So now moving forward, it's going to be Howard Mescat. After that will be Steve Bullitt, and then those are the two people that requested that they want to add up, they want to chip in something, and then after that will be Talvina Cole. Everybody else, if you want to say something, all you need to do is just give me a signal, and then I will bring you on, and you can add whatever you want to add. So Howard Mescat, what do you have to add, my dear?
Yeah, thank you. Let me just say, I'm so honored to be on this platform with so many brilliant women and men. I think this discussion, like you say, is needed frequently. I wanted to piggyback on Massa. I think Massa hit the nail on the head when it comes to me, because I'm playing two hats on this panel today. I'm playing the justice advocate and the victim's family. So, when people say the law is there, but people they're doing their best. 2005, the rape law of Liberia was implemented and enforced. It prohibits rape and makes such crime against women and children unconstitutional. The laws are there. The laws is on the books. 2011, the Children Law of Liberia guarantees the best interest of all Liberian children, including girls. And I'm going to add that to say, including boys, but the boys who are also victimized when it comes to violations against children. So the law are there. But my thing is, my main thing I wanted to enforce on this platform, and that's one of my main thing why I was so glad to add my voice to this panel. How do the government of Liberia, the Justice Ministry, and the Ministry of Gender, how do they impact these crimes when it comes to that, not just on paper, like Massa said and Zekonti said, and all the other great ladies said, and men. How does it become effective? How do we see it visible to our people? They have to be able to, the justice ministry, and I can say that from a victim's point of view, that I work in the Liberian justice system, and the system fails me, and the system failed my sister and her children. So I'm wearing two hats on this platform today. But my main thing is we have to not do impartial laws. The laws have to be effective. Let's say Mother Veronica said, you can say, oh yeah, and talk to your people and say, oh, now we'll come back. No, we must monitor our laws. Right now, we'll come to our lawmakers. Our lawmakers are the main advocates for our people. Our lawmakers should be able to, when the laws are on the books, they should be able to implement the laws. The laws should not just be sitting on the books. They should be effective. Trying is not going to cut it for us. We're going to change the status quo. Like Massa said, people don't implement their job. They don't work. They're not effective. What is the point of them working there? They're not going to be effective. They don't say, oh, they're there. And people are selective and situational when it comes to our people. No, as a justice advocate, we want to see the law implemented. We want to see the law there. It should work. The law works for me here in the nation where I'm staying in. We want the laws to work in Liberia. Then I will come to empowerment of our law enforcement. I was a victim's family. The Liberian National Police were even asking me as a victim's family to help them to go investigate. Was I mad in that moment? Yes. But then I understand it's a systematic failure. Because if a Liberian National Police had to ask you to pay their way to go do an investigation, right there is a systematic issue. How do we, increase monitoring, provide legal support to survivors, establish a special court to trial our perpetrators against our people with all these violations? We must be able to supervise and coordinate this fight. It's not a fight that will come in the beginning and then you say, oh, we'll come back tomorrow. No, this fight must be coordinated and it must be based on our constitutional and be available to our people. Our people need access to resources. Then we're going to go to budgetary appropriations. The Justice Ministry, the Ministry of Gender should work hand in hand, collectively. When it comes to budget appropriations, how do they apply these budgets that would be able to give our people resources? Also, the women and children protection, the Liberian National Police, how are they impacting that effort to our people? When you establish these resources to our people, it will work. This is not a rocket science. We need competent people to execute. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hawa. Thank you. And then after Hawa, we're going to go to Steve Bully. After Steve Bully, we're going to go to Mr. Irvin Winford. So those are after that, then we'll go to the Talvina Cole. So Mr. Steve Bullitt, what do you have to add, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Connett.
Your voice is a little bit low. Can you speak a little louder?
Can you hear me now?
I know you just need to put that stuff down. Just talk a little louder. That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's clear.
All right. Well, one of the things I wanted to say before I even dive into the next 1 or 2 minutes to elaborate on it is, I want to say this to the Liberian people. Prayers will not change Liberia. Prayers, they will not change Liberia. Because if prayers were going to change Liberia, right now, our forefathers, they used to pray more than us. Because some of us were too busy now with different activities.
Are their prayers?
What will change Liberia is will change this thing. As long as this thing, the mindset is not changed, we are going nowhere as a nation. So we need to ensure, I'm saying this to all the politicians, whoever you can be, aspiring president, politician, whatever, governor, government, whatever. I'm saying this to you. We must invest in changing the mindset of our people, and that can start from the educational sector, the gender ministry, or whatever you want to say, however you want to term it. But this is a concern I have about this whole issue of gender-based violence or whatever it might be. I'm concerned as we are in this pandemic situation. I'm getting credible information that the sector for the ministry agenda, which has to do with social affairs, has been closed and shut down. But, and I'm not trying to be political about this, but you have the center cooperation. While we are talking about social distancing, you have the center cooperation, boys and men and girls are on the street saying they are cleaning up. That tells you that this thing is not okay. This thing is not working. We need to think about what we are doing and prioritize our priorities. So what am I trying to say? I want to piggyback on something Eva said. I think that touched me a lot because I see in America, let's forget about Liberia, but I see in America where we have the resources, we can put ourselves together. We can unite for a common cause, which is this whole abuse and violence against women or against men or against children. We can unite for that. It is shocking that when you start this conversation of trauma, abuse, and everything, women who should be championing this cause, they shy away, they run away. They run to gossips, noise making, and other things. Let me tell you what that speaks to me from a psychological standpoint. That tells me that most of them are victims and they are covering their pain, the thing by running away from it and going away from it solves the problem. They don't want to address it because the trauma has been there for so long. Let me say this. Let me say this to all of us. God has blessed us to come to this country where we can go back and contribute. Some of us want to contribute. Some of us are not victims of any of these things. But we work with people who are victims. And I understand. I'm not a victim. But I understand what it takes if I can sit down with a white man and a white woman who will look in my face and tell me, say, my life will never be the same because someone touched me. And they got money enough, but yet and still that peace is not there in their heart and in their mind. I'm telling you, we need to address this thing with seriousness. We need to come together for this one important fight because this will expose a lot of things and it will bring a lot of things to bear. The last thing I want to say is this. If you have never been serious about anything in your life, be serious about this fight. There are many children who can't talk because their parents suppress them because either their parents are victims too. Because that is the norm now in Liberia. There are many boys and girls. If we don't speak out, we don't unite to hold this government accountable and any other government that comes accountable for gender-based violence, I'm saying to you people, very soon, the rise of homosexuality, lesbianism, and all of our children will have a country of total mess. It will continue. That being said, I want to say thank you, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you very much, Brother Steve Boley. We will go to Mr. Winford. My brother, I know you never had enough time to complete your thought the last time, and now you have the opportunity. So, and your contribution is very, very great, like everybody else on this platform. So go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cannon. So I'd like to continue from the issue of the gender ministry, and then I will also tell you what actually needs to be done, and especially as we discuss this issue of COVID-19 relating to the issue of COVID-related violence. It's something that we need not to overlook. So basically, if we look at the Ministry of Gender, sometimes one is tempted to have some sympathy with them, especially when Anse talk about the issue of budget. They have one of the least budget, and they are close with the authority to be addressing the issue of children and women and also the vulnerable population. That's why they have a deputy, at the Ministry of Gender, they have a deputy minister for children and social protection, right? On the issue of relating to laws and framework, Liberia has one of the stringent rape laws. The law says it's even non-billable. The Amnesty International and other human rights groups do have problem with us. But we had to do that because in our own Liberian parlance, hard medicine need hard sickness need hard medicine. At the time, little children as young as 3-4 months were even being raped for some obvious reasons, which sometimes we would say maybe were not just for sexual purpose, but also for other purposes known to the perpetrators. So we have the framework put into place. Problem is enforcement. You bring the best competent people, you put in at the Ministry of Gender, that budget I see with them, you do nothing with it. All right. I do agree. They do have some issues around competency. But the ministry is not a priority. And the moment we realize this, then we can be able now to raise our voices, especially those of us who are advocates and also friendly with some politicians. You know, people come and talk and talk and talk. But the reality, what are they doing to influence the issue of women and children? You have a stimulus package or the state of emergency that went to the legislature. How many representatives of senators did you hear speaking about the issue of women and children? They end up all raise the issues with them, but we're busy defending people, you know, from political reasons. So until we ourselves as advocates can prioritize our priority, do we just want to see people in power, or do we want them to influence the condition of a vulnerable population? The moment we start doing that, then we take some steps. So I want to talk a little bit on the issue of COVID-19 related violence.
Okay.
Yes. At the moment now, you have started getting reports. You refer to few. At the moment, you will be receiving more reports or even unreported cases of COVID-related violence. Reasons for that? You have people locked down. When you are locked down, you know, a lot of people also will lose their income. Some family heads will not have income. They will be home. They will be angry. They will be sad. That is no excuse for them to be violent, but it's a contributing factor. And so, do we have people to police? When I say police, do we have people to identify, monitor, and assess the violence against women and children in the community? Sure. And the only reason is because Ministry of Gender is not empowered to play its role adequately. I know.
So you think our legislature have something to do with that? Because
they have serious situation.
Because they are the one that legislate everything.
They don't even have time.
They got oversight responsibility.
Yeah.
So reasoning.
So how come they are not doing it?
That's the point I'm coming to. Quite recently, when they were talking about similar package, did they talk about that? Even before you deploy police or security people in the community or in hotspots, do they understand the issue of, they do allow them to go through the standard operating procedure? You must understand that in a crisis situation like this, you will have police, soldiers, or immigration, or whoever, they will be giving services. The tendency is when people are providing services and they are not being checked, they try to abuse their power to solicit sex.
Thank you.
I've been a person raising that issue even at the national legislature.
Very few.
They don't have interest in it. And we say we still support them. They are good. They are this and that. So we ourselves, we are proud. Then besides, I also want you to understand this.
Can you just make it brief, the last point, because I
want to make it brief. Because
I have our ladies want to say something.
I also have to bring the issue of the children.
Sure.
The World Bank, if you look at their latest report, they talk about, and this they just amplified for all of us to be on the alert. Here in the United States and most parts of Europe, you'll find out that the children are in school online. In Liberia, we don't have that. We don't have the opportunity. Internet is expensive. It is inaccessible. So most children are going to be out of school.
For a very long time.
The World Bank states that when you provide an opportunity, 1 year of secondary education reduces the issue of early or forced marriage, for a child before the child reaches 18 by 5% or more. During this whole lockdown, you're going to have teenage pregnancy. There's a tendency that most of the children will not return to school because they will be pregnant and they will have to take care of a new baby and what have you. In most instances, because they are not even prepared to take care of a child, sometimes it leads to death, which we don't want to. So are we also taking that as we talk about stimulus package? How then do we make these children basic even while the lockdown is going on? The last point I made before before other panelists can come in. Women constitute 54% of our labor force, that is both the formal and informal. And you know, our economy is basically informal based. You find more of them are producing, 60% of them are involved in agricultural products. Then you have 80% of them also involved in trading activities, especially in the rural areas. They double all of this with the domestic chores that they have to carry on. Today, there's a lockdown. They cannot go out. So what are we doing now to make sure that these women are empowered, you know, economically? Because all what we talk about violence, best way to protect people against violence is through empowerment. And the unequal power is broken economically. You find out that people will be able to claim their right.
Thank you,
whole
sir.
thing about even re-victimization, it tries to go away because
Thank you. Thank you.
they
Thank
are
you very much.
exempted now to be able to say, look, you cannot do this and that to me. But as this situation remains, the economic power going to get worsened and they'll be more vulnerable to domestic and sexual violence.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're going to have our one of the panelists who called from Liberia, a patient called from all the way Liberia. She been despite, you know, the fact that they don't have the 3-day anymore, but it means that she really cared about, you know, she cares about the gender-based violence issues in Liberia. So, patient, if you're there, can you you want to add something?
Yeah, my laptop is almost running dead, so I think I can just make my last point.
Go ahead and do that.
I can be off.
Sure.
Okay, I want to thank everyone again. We've made all of the points and then point out those challenges and also point our fingers to government inability of curtailing these issues. So there are possible recommendations that I want to make out. Some I have tried and tested, though with limited resources, I have not been able to, achieve it. Sometimes back, I organized a training with young men, community male leaders, exclusively male leaders and male residents. In few communities around Monrovia, we're able to organize training where we talk to them about the issues of sexual and gender-based violence and women's rights issues. We were surprised that a lot of them don't have adequate knowledge and understanding with regards to these issues. So through those trainings, they were able to understand and they went back to their communities, organize programs and try to carry on awareness. These are things that we've worked with as young people and it has worked. So based upon that, I was one of the founders of the most vibrant and biggest youth network that focuses squarely on women's rights issues and gender-based violence. That is the March for Justice. March for Justice composed of 43 youth organizations in and around Monrovia. We've come together to set up networks everywhere to be able to work in community to impact behavioral change. Because since our government is not paying that attention or they're not playing their role fully, we decided to work exclusively in communities.
Uh-oh, it looks like her line went back. I hope she stay around.
Yeah.
Are you there, patient? Are you there?
Her phone died.
Yeah, I think she said her laptop was dying, so I hope she gets back on. But unfortunately, patient is off. So I'm gonna go back to one of the.
So can I comment on what patient was?
Yeah, who is that?
I believe Sis Jackie has put her hand up.
Yeah, Masa, before you come on, one of the sisters. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that was Deconti, right?
Well, I raised my hand, but before me was Jackie. Jackie's hand had been up before me.
Okay, I didn't see her. Where's Jackie? Let me see here. All right, let's go to Jackie, and then we'll go to Deconti, and then we'll go to Masha. All right, Jackie, welcome.
Yeah. So we know that when we talk about gender-based violence, it's not just about sex. It's actually a power dynamic. based on patriarchy, that men, the institution I call men, feel that they're there to discipline women or to have control over women. We know that. What we need education, because, and we also need economic empowerment, because a woman who is not able to provide for herself will be stuck in a marriage. We need to look at the underneath of things. For example, the custody law in Liberia right now, if you look at section 1 and 2, it says that the man and the woman in a marriage are natural guardians of the children. However, on divorce or separation, the father is paramount. That means that when you're looking at a woman in a house and you're saying, oh, he beats her, why can't she leave? Well, she has kids. She's not going to leave if it means that she's going to give up her kids, right? And even if the divorce, when they go, if they say if the man is morally unfit, or if he even dies, it doesn't to go to the woman. She has to prove. She has to fight maybe his parents or some other relative for the children. Customary law the same way. The woman can be 20 years with her husband. She will not get the land that they work on in customary law. It goes to his family. You know, marital rape, right? It was just outlawed. Those are things that we need economic empowerment for women, and we need education. Just the other day, they had something about Germany suspending or terminating in Liberia. Well, if you read that article, what does it say? It says that Germany had a training program for young women and traumatized women. It's gone. So of course, if there's no economic empowerment, what's going to happen? Women will stay with their abusers. So when you talk about the gender budget, they have more money going to employee salary, travel, subsistence allowance than goes to social welfare to go and check on. It's true. We need sensitization of communities, that the community don't look the other way when somebody is being raped or touched. We also need to train our women also to say, don't, feel that you're up there and you're looking down on other women, or say, oh, look at that girl, she likes to go in the street. That's because of deprivation. If a child cannot eat, sometimes they get her out. So we need economic empowerment through micro loans. We need education. And until these things can be reflected in the laws, we just go around in circles. And what I'm saying is that the gender ministry has gotten more money in grants. Some of that money was taken away because the gender ministry did not submit the reports on time, if you remember. And the donors complained and they said they would not send the money. So let's put right where it belongs and let's put wrong where it belongs. You can have a very minuscule budget and you can still run a ministry effectively. So this is not, yes, it's about money, but also it's about political will. You must want to make your country safe for women. You must want it. You must want it. If you don't want it, it shows in the way it impacts laws.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know who was the next person. I think that was Zota. But what I'm going to do now, right after her, then we will take calls. Other people who are the audience who are watching us, they want to participate in the discussion. So whether they're going to be asking questions, when they ask any questions, any of you can put your hand, or if you want to be the one to answer the question. Unless the question is directed at a particular panelist, then we take it to that person. But we open the line right after her. So go ahead and make your contribution, Deconti.
Okay. So I wanted to highlight something that's very important for us to understand, okay, about what we're facing as a nation in Liberia. When we think about the underlying basis of why we even need the gender ministry, why we're speaking against gender-based violence, there is trauma that is saturated. That's the foundation, okay, of why we're speaking, okay? So when we think of trauma is sometimes 20% physical and 80% psychological. But what happened is because of our lack of understanding of psychological disorders, psychological conditions, we pay attention to the physical first, okay? So I will go in the analogy of someone being physically ill. When I have a physical ailment, whether it is it's breast cancer, whether it is high blood pressure, people pay attention to me because it is an emergency, okay? Because this thing, oh, we gotta help them more. But when I have a psychological ailment, a psychological condition such as depression or bipolar or post-traumatic stress disorder, people don't understand it because we haven't educated ourselves about this thing, okay? So hence there will continue to be a cycle of re-victimization until we take care of the structure, the base. So gender ministry right now, there's just people running around in a maze because first of all, adequate trauma informed care is not paid attention to. I like what one of the speakers just said. We pay attention more to salaries or to these expenditures of trips, but we don't pay attention to what is the foundation, the solidness, which is adequate trauma informed care. Until we get to that basis, we will continue to have problem up here because the structure of teaching, having this community and this nationwide dialogue about what trauma looks like. So if we're all understanding, then everybody will pay more attention. But if we don't even know where to start to look for these things, then there will continue to be a cycle. Just wanted to point.
That was great. That was great. So, yeah, I think Masha wanted to ask something. Yeah. Okay. Then let's go to Masha. Let's see what she got to add. Yeah. Masha, go ahead while we are waiting. So, people can call now, and when you call, we will put you on hold. Go ahead, Masha. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed. I don't know how to thank everybody on this platform.
Yeah,
there are
great.
a lot of things that we are learning from each other, and we are also sharing out there to your audience. And I know you said that we can continue with this, but I'm really impressed. And I wanted to add up to what Patient was saying, and then her phone went off. Sekou, when it comes to laws, it also has to do with comments. You can't really make a law, or you can't really pass a law when you don't have public comments. You don't have public interest. You are unable to allow the public to make a comments on things that are going to impact their lives forever, in fact. So that's the case of Liberia. There are so many laws in Liberia that even the public don't even know about it. Sometimes you even ask people who are even well educated, they don't know about these things because it's just like some kind of representative or senator or even the government head of state, they just decided to write out something and send it to the Senate, the legislature, because they can give them 1 or 2 cents, they'll be able to pass those things. But they don't know the impact it will have on everyday Liberians. So it's just one of those suggestions that I want to make and be able to encourage if they are listening. You live in America here. When people pass law or when they take a bill to debate, they're asking the public, they create that awareness that Patient was talking about. A lot of the people in our society, they don't even know what gender-based violence is. They don't know. Sure. And people have been affected, but because they don't know the impact of it, so they can't talk. When you understand something that's actually impacting you and you know that there are laws out there that are protecting you, you will be able to talk. You will be able to tell somebody, but these people don't know. So just creating that awareness and just coming up with a bill where you can be able to put in the public eyes, allow the public to make comments on your bills before it becomes law, because it's going to impact us, it's going to impact our children. And also to speak to what Soda said, we don't have a trauma-informed lens in Liberia. We don't have it. You will see that people who are public service officials, and they will be degrading everyday Liberians. When they see the person, they just look at the physical aspect of the person and boom, they already know how to describe that person. They already know what that person is about to say. So we need to put on our trauma-informed lens, especially as professional people who are serving the public. We should be the last people to judge people. We should be the last people to tell nasty things about people. Let's hold our words to ourselves. until we can get to know the whole body, the whole person. When you're addressing your citizen, make sure you're looking at the whole person, including the environment. So, so that you can be able to address them and that their problems can be able to be solved.
Thank you very much. It looks like Grace wanted to say something. Hold on one second. I know people are not hearing me. Yeah, so if Grace, you want to say something? Well, we have a caller here. Let our caller talk, and then I will also bring you on to maybe respond to that caller's comments. So, caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you are live.
Yes, my name is Nya Volula, and I'm calling from the state of Indiana. And I just want to tell you, thank you, Sekou, for this wonderful discussion this afternoon.
Thank you.
You know, these are the things that we need to. Hello, you can hear me?
Yeah, you are live. Everybody hearing you.
Okay, these are the discussions that we need to be hearing all of the time. You know, I work for the Indiana Department of Child Services and Family Services here. It's a same ministry we get in Liberia called General Ministry, but it gets different name here in the United States. So Department of Child Services. So, and I also have a master's degree in international psychology, and focus on especially on trauma and conflict management. Last winter, I had the opportunity to attend the Middle East Psychological Association conference in Kuwait. And what we're talking about here today is a very good discussion. Zota make a very clear point here that we need to create that awareness. And how you call this? Since Grace also make that point early on today that there should be a grassroots organization. You know, a sick patient in Liberia, before her laptop went off, she was making that point too. And the last caller here too was making a point. So now, based on the discussion on this platform today, it's like we are heading towards something. You know, some point that we can get on to be able to create that awareness. So we got to, my contribution here today is, we have to come up with some set of organization nationwide, like it can be Liberia Social Service Association, where once a year we have a national conference where professionals from all over around the world will go and tell our people what they are going through is not what meant for them in life. You know, so like that conference I went for in Kuwait, I was talking about, I learned a lot from them. And Kuwait was one of the countries like Liberia who didn't know about gender-based violence, who didn't know about mental health, anything. Everything was all about their culture. But now, based on that psychological, association conference in the entire Middle East, now people are interested in those things. And there are mechanisms now in place based on that particular organization. There are mechanisms now in place to take care of all of those situations are there. So Liberia, it's a good thing that we all are thinking to this direction. We have to come together to create that avenue. Like the government is not doing it now. We all know that the government don't have that chance to do it. So we now got to create something that the government, when the government see us doing, the pressure will be on them now, so that our people can be in a better place. You know, even the trauma Jota was talking about, trauma is one of the key reasons that people are living like this today.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there.
Taken care of.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. We have another caller. Let's take that second caller and then we'll go back to the panelists. Actually, we'll not be able to take a lot of calls today. Based on the fact that we have the panelists, we have a lot of people they themselves, they have a lot of things they want to say, but they never had the time to say it. So maybe next time we will minimize the number of people so that way they can have enough time to expand a little more, because most of them are knowledgeable And those of us who are here to gain knowledge from them, if we did not have the time to expand, we will not be able to learn a lot. So caller on this line, okay, another lady calling from Belgium. You hold the line. Let's talk to this person first on the phone line. 215 number, are you there? 215 number, are you there? All right. The person who called on the WhatsApp line, are you there? Okay, that person is not available. I think this is Antrik Jello from Belgium. Antrik, you're alive. The panelists are listening to you.
Hello, Brother Sekou. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening to all the ladies on the show.
And gentlemen too. Don't leave us out now. Come on now. That's not fair. Anyway, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sekou, thank you so much for this topic, and thank you to all the ladies. All of your points were very much important, and I have few things to say, because when it comes to gender-based violence in Liberia, it's one of the things that really break my heart, and it brings a lot of sadness, in a sense that I came to realize that Liberia is really, really broken in terms of women's rights and children's rights. We have absolutely no system at all that will protect the right of women and children in that country. I'm sorry to say, I don't want to be like I'm being offensive to the men, but majority of the men in Liberia, our men, they are very, very abusive to women and children. They don't have respect for us. They don't value us. They treat us like dogs. And this must stop. And the only way it can stop, if we, the women of Liberia, can stand up for our rights and say enough is enough. We need our place. The abuse of our children, the killing of our children, the abuse of us, also the murder, it should stop. But again, we come back to the culture of deception. The culture of deception and falsehood in our country is another factor.
Thank you.
And I also come to realize that most of the women in Liberia, most of our women, 99% of these women were all being violated. So if you have these women at that percentage that are being violated, how do you expect them to fight for the rights of other women if they are broken? I hear someone talking about the vice president. How do you expect a woman like that to fight for women's rights where she cannot fight for herself?
What do you mean by woman like that? That's not a good way to address a vice president.
I am saying,
if you are a female, you should be respectful of another female.
I'm saying a woman like that is because a woman that cannot fight for her own rights, a woman that is broken, a woman that has been violated. That was my first statement I said to you, that most Liberian women are also a victim of violence.
So do you have a question at all?
I'm getting to the point, and then I will give a question because this.
Yeah, I want you to make it a little bit faster because we're running out of time. That's why.
This topic is not a fast topic because
I know, but next time we're coming by next time. I understand, my sister. Next time we're coming by next time. I know you have enough time.
Then let me learn because
okay, go ahead.
It's important.
I know you're joining. A lot of people don't want to leave, but even the people here now, they don't want to leave now. So go ahead. Go ahead and conclude, please.
Of violence, and from my perspective, from my experience, that is where I'm talking from. Because a lot of women who come out on these shows they talk, when you see them talk about the issue of gender violence, and you see the passion in them, but unfortunately, when you reach out to them to see that passion, the way they come out to talk about the issue, you don't see it in terms of action. It's like they just talk, but you don't see no action. That is where I came out and say culture of the culture of deception. Because if you want to eradicate sexual abuse, any form of violence of women and children in Liberia, then you have to be truthful to yourself. You have to fight till the last. This is why most of the people, especially the men in Liberia who are in higher authorities that are supposed to stand, for example, the legislature, how do you expect them to stand for us when your advocacy or your fight is based on deception? So we have to be true to ourselves. We have to stand for what is right, and we can do it. If the government or the people in position, they don't want to stand up for the right of women and children, we as an advocate, we as a woman who have been through all of those violence, can stand up and say, okay, enough is enough. We need to fight. We need to help and get rid of this thing. It's not one person thing, it's everyone problem. Because tomorrow, if you don't fight it, it's going to happen to your child. If you turn a blind eye, it's going to happen to you. So this is what it should be. And we should stop this culture of deception. We should stop it. And the government is not also helping. Look at for my case, a man who raped me, and then he turned around and went and said, because I came out to the public to break the silence and hashtag me too, he said I was trying to tarnish his reputation. Took me to court, and then you took someone to court, you didn't serve them a letter, nothing at the camp. A day the case was heard in the civil law court was the same day that the so-called judge carried out the verdict.
Okay.
So you see the problem of our justice system.
Yeah, you're right. I got your point.
As a Liberian, we cannot fight for ourselves.
If you don't mind,
people that come from out of the country is going to take advantage of our broken system. So we must stand and get rid of this culture of deception and fight for this to end and be eradicated.
Thank you very much. And then,
thank you.
Yeah, you made some good points, and I wish I have enough time to even give you more time, but you made a very good points. That was our sister calling from all the way Belgium, Europe, to participate, to tell you how much people are watching and listening to your contribution. But I must admit, the panelists here, like I said earlier, all of you, when one person starts to speak, I can be so amazed. I don't want you to stop, but I want the next person to speak to. So that's why I've been, struggling to even know who to come next, because all of you are great speakers. But I want to go back to one of the sisters, Francis, who spoke earlier from the beginning, so she can make a comment on this statement just made by the two callers. So, Sister Francis, are you there? You are muted. Hold on. You need to mute yourself. I will mute you next time. Don't mute yourself. I will mute everybody and I will mute you.
All right, I was muted.
Yeah. But, next time, don't mute yourself. I will do it when you're not talking.
To unmute myself. Okay. Yeah. I want to quickly go to something that Zota said about the whole psychology, and I understand this woman's pain. It's palpable. She's the woman that just spoke. We have to understand that all of Liberia is traumatized. With all that we've gone through, the war, the this, the that, we have a traumatized nation. So it's not just about the gender issue. If there is a part of the gender ministry that addresses children, broad line, because we have just as many little boys being raped as little girls. All of those sorts of things. But this is such a fabulous opportunity that TEL has opened here. So many people have so much to say. And, when people talk about advocacy, there really has to be something apart from and outside of the whole gender ministry thing, that probably most of the panelists can come together and find a way to do that extra thing. Because obviously, ministries, period, they're going to do what little they can do, but there's no follow through. There has to be an outside, a group of people who are going to push them and make sure that they follow through on the cases that they address. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Zota, you hit the nail on that.
Yeah.
So
who else want to add something up? Okay. Sis Veronica, I want to say something. I think she put her hand up. Let's go to Sis Veronica. But then, what's going to happen? We are running out of time, and we already hit maybe let's say more than 2 hours. 40 minutes. Can you imagine? So after Sis Veronica, what we're going to do? I'm going to give the opportunity to Talvina to say something. Then we will go to everybody to close with a statement, whether it's a recommendation, whether it's a comment, or I want to say something, whatever it is. And you're going to have 1.5 minutes to do that. So, but let's go to Sis Veronica since her hands up, so she can address some of the issues. Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'll just unmute you. You know, you mute yourself. You muted yourself. Go ahead and try to mute yourself. Yes, you did it.
Yeah, you can go to Talia because this will be my recommendation for what I want to do. So she can go and then you can go around.
Okay, then that's good. Then. So we will go to the lady who put all these things together. I would say kudos to you. And can you move a little bit to the middle of the screen? A little bit. Yes. All right. So I know you've been very patient. Every time you're supposed to come on, you say I should give the chance to other people. That is a sign of leadership. So I want to say thank you for at least this very great discussion. I'm proud of all of you. Trust me. And the audience are proud because people don't want you to go right now. They want you to stay even after 2.5 hours. They still want you to be here. So it means that you are doing great. So kudos to all of you. So Talvina, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Sekou. I wanted us to talk about everything else, but I wanted to talk about, you asked a question initially, is the gender ministry doing enough now, especially during this period? So I wanted for us to speak to that. In my opinion, I don't think they're doing much. I know that there was a lady who put something in front page Africa, and there was a reporter from the gender ministry that they have a call center that they're working on and they were doing other things, but that is not enough. So to answer the question, I don't think they have even been doing much. Besides this conversation, Avi and myself have been doing research prior to COVID on the same gender-based violence, getting to the root of all of this. We've been looking at this for 5 years period, looking at other things. And when we look at the data and look at some of the things, much is not being done. And we don't have time, but maybe another time I will bring up, or any one of us will bring up some of the data to just see maybe 2 years period, or 3 years period, and see the number of cases that have been turned over, what has been done, and even the persecution rate. We're looking at less than 2% of the cases that have been persecuted. I'm curious to even see the numbers after this. So the gender ministry is not doing much. And that's what I want to stress here. They're not doing much. They're not doing, in my opinion, absolutely nothing. When I picture gender ministry or the gender minister, I picture that woman, my friend, my adolescent year friend, walking behind Clyde Weir, and they're walking the streets of Monrovia doing parade. That's how I picture her. And for a mother who's been here and back there, a lot more that needs to be done. But I will leave it there, and I have some recommendations when we circle back to recommendations. In closing comments, I do have some recommendations.
All right, but then you're gonna be the last to do that.
Do.
So
having leadership, I need to be the last.
So we're gonna go to like I said, I don't know. I don't know where to start from. And I will just pick somebody. I will start with Ivasa. Ivasa, go ahead and make your closing statement. You have 1.5 minutes. You can go less than that. You can exhaust the whole thing. It's up to you.
Well, I think one of the things that we're starting is this conversation, especially on this platform. We have to continue these conversations here and bring more people on from back home. A lot of what we have to do deals with education, educating our women, educating the boys too, to know the difference on what needs to be done, what they shouldn't do and what they shouldn't follow, because a lot of what happens in our society is what we see. So if you see your father or somebody abusing somebody, you go ahead and do it. And I think we need to end the silence. We need to stop protecting friends, because I'm going to say it and some people are not going to like it, but many of us and many of the people in the Liberian community know somebody that's messing with some little girl or messing with, little children, or maybe beating on their wives or doing something, or even the boys. We always forget about talking about the boys being abused, but that's always silenced because, you're a man, you're just supposed to not and be strong, and you didn't get raped, or your woman didn't abuse you. But men do get abused too. We need to talk more about that. We need to hold the gender ministry accountable for what they're doing and what they're not doing. And we also need to hold ourselves accountable. You have to ask yourself, are you doing enough? Are you helping out? Is your voice being loud enough? Because a lot of people don't get involved until it's their child or it's their family member or it comes very close to them. And that's when they say, I want to help. So these panels and these conversations like this is very important. Let's stop hiding it all. And I'm going to put it out there. I am a victim of being molested as a little child. So I know how it is to be silenced, to be saying that it's your fault, to be part of that, victimizing the victim. So we have to talk more, and we have to let everyone know that this is not okay, that girls need to be empowered. At a very young age, girls are taught that we're supposed to be in the kitchen, we're supposed to mind our husbands, we shouldn't have a voice. We have to break all those cultural cycles to be able to move on with anything. We have to break them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next person will be Sis Anne. And if you're there, I'm about to bring you to the screen. So unmute your phone. Let me see if I can unmute you from here. Yeah, okay, you're on mute. So Sis Anne, are you there?
I think we have been able to discuss a lot, identify most of the challenges. And I think this is a new beginning for each of us to make new commitments, or renew our commitments, to join all actors to be able to mitigate the issue of gender-based violence. It's about time that we all constructively engage the government and other partners to see how we can solve this issue. Instead of just leaving it to get worse, I want us to put aside the talk and get to action. A little bit of action can make a little bit of change. So I hope this network will continue, and will continue to interact, will continue to exchange views, and will continue to advocate for the well-being of our women and children in Liberia.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you very much. That was great. We'll go to Zota. Let me unmute her. I don't know, because your Facebook screen says Zota, I'll always call you Zota. I'm sorry. Yeah, continue. But anyway,
Both are my legal names.
Exactly. So I'm not wrong. So Zota, welcome back for your closing statement. And it was a great contribution also.
Okay.
All of you.
In closing, I want to thank Talvina for extending this opportunity to all of us that came on the platform today. I'm sure there are 1,000 more strong voices like ourselves who took part today. So my closing is that we encourage this conversation in our communities. From a mental health worker, from my perspective, when I talk to people, I always say, let's have these conversations wherever you feel that it's safe for you to do it. Have these conversations, because when we start to build these grassroots movements where people feel like they start to understand the problem and start to learn, and then the behavior, when you start to do that, then you start to slowly impact behavioral changes. So if people start to learn what things look like, what things should not be, like every one of you have said, and giving autonomy to each individual, your body is your own, your rights are your own. When we start to have these conversations, and that everyone, regardless of your educational or your social economical status, that if you are important and you come to the table and you bring something, you have a voice. So let's give voices to people. Let's have these conversations. I would love, 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 love to continue in another session where we can expand more on these things. And more so over, let's teach. We who know, teach. And don't teach from a place of arrogance, because people can't learn that way. Teach so that people understand and learn that they can implement it in their daily lives. So I thank you all for the opportunity. Talvina, thank you, Sekou. I thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. No problem. Thank you very much. And we look forward to another fruitful conversation. So let's go to my brother here, Brother Winford. Brother Winford will give his closing statement. Brother Winford, welcome back. What is your closing statement? You have 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 1 minute, 30 seconds. I hope to keep to the rule this time.
Yeah, all the ladies have done so. So I hope you will not do the wrong thing. So you can't make us sheep.
Yeah, I gotta stand by.
Exactly. You gotta make us proud. Stay within the 1 minute, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Exactly. So first, I'd like to thank you and Talvina for this great opportunity, and to the rest of the team members also. I think, like one of the quarters said, it is a unique opportunity to maybe begin a network or widen it, even as we move on. I've always maintained in this kind of work we do, one person cannot do it. We need all of the talents, all of the expertise, all of the resources on board, even as we move forward to do some groundwork. Recommendation, I continue to maintain that no one else can protect the rights of women but women themselves. And the way to do that from the Liberian experience is education and empowerment. When we do that, we'll be able to stand on their own feet. Then I'll just leave you with my parting comments. And these are great quotes. One from the legendary Nelson Mandela, one guy who I just read about almost every day, who I'm not in politics. He says that the character of a society is revealed by the way it treats its children. Treat your children good, the outside world will know that you have a good society. And then one of our strong advocates here in the United States, her name is Harmony Gradle. She works with an NGO. She was also abused, but today she works with trafficking women who are who have been trafficked.
Your time is up. You may want to wrap it up if you can.
In the sex industry, she says that when we see the humanity in someone, it becomes more difficult for us to sexualize or objectify them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for your contribution. And that was a very, very great contribution. And then we are going to Massa Dupo. Let me see here. Hold on. Trying to unmute you. I think, okay. No, you got it.
I just did a second.
Yeah, I think you're good. You're good. Uh-oh.
Been almost 3 hours.
It's not even Massa. I brought what's her name? Eva. Because I like troublemakers, so that's why I brought Eva. Sorry. All right, Massa, go ahead.
Yes, Sekou, thank you for the opportunity given to us to be on your platform today. And also to my friend Tara for the invitation to be part of this great conversation. A lot of wisdom, powerful women, so professional in their career or whatever going on in their lives. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope that we all learn from each other. And I hope that all of us will do the things that we think are not right out there and be able to teach others to do the right things. When it comes to the Ministry of Education, or when it comes to holding people who have been given an opportunity to serve the public, Segu, I don't see it as an option. I see it as a right for us to move on them with force, to be able to tell them, to stand up to them and tell them that what you are doing is not right. And this is just the beginning of the conversation, but I know that we're going to continue with this conversation. And I know that I heard that somebody proposing the idea of organizing or creating an organization. I will kind of object to that a little bit. I think there should be a conversational network or campaign where we can be able to come together as professionals from everywhere, and it should be inclusive, where because there are other Liberians out there who are well diverse in their field, they are doing well. Try to reach out to them, bring them on board. Let's have a conversation. In order to implement a change, we must be able to have a conversation.
Thank you.
And the first time I started being interested in having a conversation was when I started school in America. My first college I went to.
If you want to wrap up, that would be okay because the time is up.
My first college I went to in America, they kind of forced everybody to be part of a conversational partner group. So where you and your partner can meet and discuss certain issues that are affecting the world or affecting you, and then you'll be able to report to the classroom. So I see this group as that conversational partner group where we'll be able to come on, find a date, and be able to educate people out there on the importance of women's issue, children issue, or just issues affecting our society, and how we can propose those ideas that will bring a change.
Thank you.
So thank you to everybody, and I look forward to the next conversation.
For sure. The next conversation will be great. What we'll do that the next time we'll have more time. Maybe we'll go strictly 3 hours instead of cutting it in the middle to get we'll make sure that we have enough time next time. This is just the beginning. I think you guys did extremely well. You guys did great. The next person is Sis Francis. You're live.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Yes, it's your time now.
Yes. Well, no, I just think it's good that we have this platform. You can tell by your audience and what have you, people really need and want to have this conversation.
They do.
I disagree a little bit with the young lady that just spoke in that I'm not saying, form a group that separates itself from the whole. This is a platform. It's necessary and what have you. At the same time, we do need to come together and actually be a source or a force that has to push these people to do their jobs that they're being paid for, and sometimes you do need an outside group to do that. That's not excluding anybody. Anybody can join the group, but we do have to sort of bring resources together, come together and what have you. That thing that they said about German people taking their money and going, I listened to somebody who said, oh yes, we should beg them to come back. No, sometimes we have to stand on our own 2 feet. And maybe some people do need to withdraw some of their money and make people do what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you very much. And now we'll go to Jackie. Sis Jackie, you are next. Sis Jackie, welcome back.
Okay. Yeah. A point of correction. I know I didn't say they should come back. I said that when they were leaving, one of the programs that died with them leaving was an education program for traumatized victims. Okay, so in short, I will read what I have. I said, I start. Mary Doe, Hawa Kroma, Mercy Toe, Lopu Koli, Mary Rockbo, Mata Dolo, Bendy Kwe, Ski, Mary Dawolo. The list goes on and on. I got it from Human Rights Watch. Now, 25 names 25 victims. The current topic on Liberian social media is the 25 billion that went missing in Liberia. Unless an action has a monetary value attached, we express outrage for a few days and then move on. I maintain that the cost of gender-based violence costs more to a country. Health problems, destruction of the family structure, psychological effects, societal violence are all direct costs of gender-based violence. It may be difficult to quantify, but gender-based violence cuts across all aspects of the society and have far-reaching consequences. Education, economic empowerment, community awareness, and effective laws are the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You were less than actually you use your time effectively. So they will go to.
Okay, so one more thing.
Oh, you see, you see that it's what I brought people.
Okay. And what I tell my daughters
No
is
problem.
that when they were young is that do not force your kids to go and show affection.
Okay.
If someone comes in your house and you say, "Go hug the man," go hug the man.
Now your time is up. You see.
I'm done now.
All right, thank you, my sister. Thank you. That was great. Great contribution. So now is Sis Veronica. Veronica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What is your closing statement?
So this panel was so eye-awakening. I love to tag along the younger people because their ideas and things are so different.
They're too smart and spicy.
Yeah, it's not. But I would like for more churches and the mosque in Liberia, especially, to take a role in bringing gender violence to a halt. I don't want to say slow it down. If the churches and the mosques, those leaders can provide more support to the government, that in implementing safe houses, implementing a place where you can put women and children when they're being abused, that will really help. And let us become more spiritual and less religious in our community. There are so many religious people, and there are not a lot of spiritual people. And I agree with Moses. We can pray from now to June's days. If we do not want change, God will not bring that change. We have to be the change that we want.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. The next person will be Sis Grace. Grace is the next person. I hope Grace is ready. And let's bring Grace. Grace, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What is your closing argument?
Well, I would just like to say thank you to Talvina and thank you, Sekou, for allowing us on your platform. As we can see, the system has failed our people. Gender ministry has failed. They have done nothing. There is nothing in place whatsoever concerning violence against women and children. And the budget was passed, and there was nothing in that budget whatsoever concerning violence against women and children. There are no centers set up just in case a woman is going through domestic violence. There is no line to call to be able to get rescue, especially during this time of social distancing. There will be a lot of abuses going on in home, and when they affect the mother, it's going to affect the children. So at the end of the day, gender-based violence is vast around our country. And I would also like to encourage the people in the community. If we don't look out for one another, as you can see, the system fails us, the system will not look out for us. You have to be strong, as I stated, the grassroots organizations, you have to come together and solicit support. Even us in America here will be able to support you guys. As I speak right now, there is a radio a show that's supposed to be airing in Liberia on Fabric Radio. Legacy Holding Foundation, which I'm the overseer, is going to be sponsoring that radio show. It's going to be talking about women, giving awareness on what to do. Our people don't know what to do. I travel in the rural areas of Liberia in 2016, 17, and 18. Most of the time when you tell the people something, they're like 10 years behind. They don't really know. Until we can give our people information, they will not be able to speak out against the wrong that are going on in their lives. So I just want to say thank you again. This topic is an ongoing topic. We'll be here anytime to be able to speak for our people to know their rights, because your right is your freedom. Your right is your freedom, and violence against you is wrong.
True. Thank you very much. And now we go to Howard Mesca. Howard Mesca is one of those major contributors to this platform. Hawa, welcome back. What is your closing comment?
Well, as always, thank you, Sekou, for the inclusion of our voices on your platform. I really am grateful for this opportunity. And also thanks to all the great minds. I think everybody brought something today to the table. And I want to thank everybody on this platform today. But you know, been to Liberia 7 times in 3 years, okay, and walk in the Liberian justice system. Our people are broken. We are a broken nation. And until we can put our feet planted on the ground, nothing happens. You know, I like the conversations and they all sound pretty and they all sound great, but we need strategic implementation. Let the work be visible to our people. We need civic education. And we have to put this thing in all the dialects in Liberia. We must implement that. So the talking for me is good. You know, we talk and some of us do things behind the scene. We don't put it on, you know, Facebook all the time. You know, and people see our voice, so that there are things deeper than that. You know, 2013, the Jimmy Carter Syndicate for Liberia having 33,000 Liberians suffers from mental and issues like that. You know, we have to implement these things and hold people accountable. Teach our people, when you're voting for people, what are they going to bring to you? Not just what they're going to give, what you're going to give them, your vote. What are they going to give you in return? Because voting is something in return for the citizens. We need strategic things for our people. And I don't care if they're in the rural parts of Liberia, put it in the dialects. Let's educate them. Put your feet on the ground, not just sitting in the diaspora. Go to Liberia frequently. That's what I do. Put your feet on the ground. Educate our people. Our people are hurt. Our people are broken. It is not about tribalism, political affiliations, or any economic class status. We must be able to redeem our people and bring it from point A to point B. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next person will be my own brother, Steve Bole. Let me see if I can unmute him. Steve Bole will be the one to make his closing argument.
Baby, ready?
Steve Bole, are you there?
I thought we were going over.
Hold on. Somebody talking. I never muted the president.
Everybody ready beside you.
Hold on. Who is? Oh my God. Let me see. Yeah, sorry. I apologize. Let me mute everybody one more time. That was a good one. Let's go back to Steve Willie. Steve, I apologize, folks. You're all not muted, so please, if your lines, I never mute everybody, you know, because this is time for closing statement, so I didn't want to mute everybody, but I had to. Yeah, Steve Willie, go ahead, my brother. What is your closing statement?
Well, I want to say thank you. Thanks to the women on here today. I want to say thank you so much for your voices to this conversation. Thanks to my brother who has been on as well for us to support the women and children and every Liberian, I will say. My recommendation is I would encourage all of us to start this conversation home. Let's start it with our children, whether you're victims or not. Let's start by educating our children. Let's start by passing the message on to our children, our family members, loved ones. I also want to challenge those of us who are victims here who are have not told our partners, our children, our loved one about our experiences. I want to challenge you to go into that, to start to talk about it. You know, it is very important. It's therapeutic. I think it helps a lot. It takes away some of that burden. Another thing I wanted to recommend is the women. Let me say to the women, most women are victims, so the focus is on women for the most part. But I think y'all need to take this thing seriously, and it starts by how you guys treat one another. I see on social media how you guys disrespect one another, how you guys look down one another, how you guys solve your problems in the public, how you guys disgrace one another. I see women are sharing other women, porn or naked video all around the place. Let it start from us. We need to stop that. If you see somebody sharing that video, you cut it off and come publicly and tell them to stop it. Let's do that. Let's respect one another as women. Let the women respect one another. Let honor one another.
Thank you.
And let's do the right thing. Let's start it from amongst ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. That was Brother Steve Bole. Now, I believe everybody have spoken except for Talvina. I'm not sure. If you think you are yet to speak, put your hand up. I will bring you before I bring the last person. I believe I'm right. We have had everybody on here. And
Sekou, I got one thing. I'm sorry, one thing.
One thing?
One, just one.
You never disappoint me. You the most troublemaker on this plan on this panel. Go ahead.
Just one. Yeah, so says Talvina, thank you for my t-shirt. I wore this t-shirt specifically for Liberian, our violations against our women and our children. Hands off our women and our children in Liberia. Stop violating them. Stop hurting them. We are tired of the pain. Hands off. That's why I wore this t-shirt. Says Talvina Cole. Thank you.
Hey. All right. Thank you. Now, that was a good one.
She took me by surprise.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that was a good one. All right. Now, Talvina, it's your time.
Can I get one too?
Uh-oh. You see? Another troublemaker. I thought Master was the coolest one.
I have to send out to everybody.
No, hold on. Master said she want to get one. We'll go ahead quickly. You got 30 seconds.
I need one t-shirt too.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Talvina, when I move on this show, I thought you for not giving me my t-shirt.
So how will not put you in trouble? So make sure you get about the t-shirt.
I've been digging Howard's t-shirt though.
Yes, Martha, get your t-shirt. That's our code. Hands
All right, folks.
I actually designed that.
Yes.
So yes.
So can you move a little bit to the middle of the screen again?
I'm so sorry. Today.
No, to the other side.
It's all right.
Yeah, okay, you go right there.
Any better?
Yeah, it's better. All right. Yeah. So since you are the organizer of this conversation today, I'm gonna say thank you for this conversation because the audience love it. I'm telling you, they don't want to go. Myself, I love it because it's educational, it's informative. That's all we want. But you know, our people, you see a lot of you see few people here. I will have 600, 700 people here today on discussing politics. You know that. if I have breaking news right now, a lot of people come here. But there's no breaking news bigger than protecting our people. There's no bigger news than the idea or people having the courage to speak out, especially women. So let's encourage our people to come and listen. And those of you who follow the show, you share it so other people can have the benefit to learn. We learn a lot today from all these beautiful and intelligent, smart women and the gentlemen too that came on. I'm very proud of all of you. So before I give you the time to speak, I just wanted to add that. I will not time you, but you should be conscious of time. You just be considerate. Give your closing statement. Since you are the leader of this particular discussion today, I will give you no limit. So just go ahead and be considerate of time and make your closing statement.
I don't say much anyway.
But
okay. Anyway, I think everybody here, we all are the leaders. I don't take credit for all this. I've learned so much from this today. I just wanted to continue. I mean, listening to all these powerful voices here, I'm just like, my God, like we're so blessed to have powerful people that we're not even utilizing as much. So I just want to thank everybody. Sekou, I will tell you, even your audience, when I reach out to these ladies and the gentleman on here, less than an hour, everybody agreed. So that I have to tell you, just to show how they were passionate about, talking about this and going forth. I was also looking at the chat line. There were a couple of comments on there that people said, oh, they need to go to Liberia or move it beyond that. Everybody here contribute to Liberia in different ways. Some people have nonprofits. Some people, didn't go through all that means, but everybody contributing. But we're here and we want to have those conversations. We saw conversations about everything else, 25 million, 60 million, whatever million, 40,000. I like to have those conversations because I come from a financial background, but that's not important to me. We need to go to the ground root of the issue, talk about women issue, because when a woman is broken, everything else is broken. So I wanted us to talk about this more often. This is just a pilot, the thought was let's pilot it. And if based on the feedback we get today, we can do a couple more times and just to make our voices heard. I like what Eva and everybody said, but specifically Eva said, we need to pound on this thing until gender does what they need to do. And I'm all for it. Sometimes taking other routes is not working. So the change we want to see, we need to push that change. I've seen people form, pressure group and for this and that. We're not going to form pressure groups, but we're going to make our voices louder than pressure groups. We're strong and powerful women, and we know what we want to see that change, and we're going to continue this. So that's for that. I want to make a couple announcements. I mean, as I do this, this, like I said, was just a pilot. It's open to everybody. We'd like to hear from survivors. We'd like to hear from victims. Anybody, if you feel strongly about the cause, you want to join the panel, reach out to anybody out here. Reach out to me. We'll join you on there, and we'll put you on there for the next time wherever we go to have the discussion. It's non-political. So let me just squash that out. But if you want to be a part, like I said, reach out to any one of us. Also, there's one more thing. Oh, yes. So I'm kind of mentioned in a way that Avi and myself, we started doing it because, again, for this whole, what's going on in Liberia with this whole gender thing, let's get to the root cause of this. We started our research recently, and we started the planning and all of that. We were almost at the end of the planning, and we're about to do field work and move forward with other things. But then this whole COVID came, so we move on to something else. But if you're someone who's interested in research, evidence-based research, you like writing, and most of all passionate about the cause, and you love to work in teams, we have room for 1 or 2 people. Just reach out to any one of us. We would love to have you on there. I love teamwork, and so having another person there, together we can do it better. Now, as far as recommendations, let's get to the meat of it. I don't see much going on right now as far as what gender is doing. What I'm hoping to see, and hopefully she's listening here, or people that are closer to them, or the president. I know Mr. Toby did mention the other day that the president listening, or whoever else that can take this message. What I hope to see or like to see every week is that the gender minister will have weekly conference, press releases or conferences, whatever you want to call press releases, where she would call the journalists into her office, where she would call common citizens, and she would brief them about what's going on, how many cases have been persecuted, what's the status of this case, this and that, and let them ask her questions, give people up-to-date information, do it 2-3 times a week. Also bring in the justice ministry as part of those conversations, minister as part of those conversations. Bring in, I understand they have the police unit, that they have a sex crime unit. Bring in those people as part of the conversation. So I'm hoping to see that's one aspect. Another thing is, for Christ's sake, build your website. The gender ministry does not have a website for almost 3 years now. And I can see that now that I was up last year, it came down.
They don't have a website?
I am big on research. The Facebook is their website.
No.
And they're looking for,
wow.
It's somebody. No. The Facebook is their website. Press release, anything about them, website. Now, anything that I need to know, I should be able to go on the website and get that. If I want reports, this year report, if I want next year report, if I want status of things, I should be able to go on the website and know those things. So there's something, it costs less than $500 to build a website. And in times like these, that's one of the things you need to have, because people should be able to go on there to see what are you doing for, in the midst of COVID, what are you doing for the citizens now? What resources are available to citizens for them to tap into? What are you doing? Are you going to communities? Are you talking to people? Are you on the radio station talking to people? What are you doing? Putting a post on Facebook and putting a front page Africa, it's a little bit of the problem solving. That's just 1%, but you need to do a lot more. So first thing, build your website or bring it back up. I don't know if it was up 3 years ago or 2.5 years, but bring it back up for Christ's sake. And then pump it with resources, much needed resources. So that's one recommendation. And I think patients talk about another thing. About empowering them or whatever. But what I want to see is also to suggest that they have some sort of volunteer program where they can bring the youth or whoever is interested in something. So they train these people for 3-6 weeks, and these people work alongside them, as they pursue these cases. I do the same thing here. That's how I got involved with the sheriff department here. They have, even though the government is doing one thing, people say don't blame the government, but the government have to open that way for people to come. They have to be a helping environment. You have to be welcoming. So you have the volunteer program. You train people. If you don't have I don't know how you can check, background, but whatever way, if they don't have a violent background or criminal record, train them about rape issues or domestic violence issues or whatever it is, and then let them be, let them work alongside with you as you pursue these cases. Let them be with you in the community, talking to people about these things. So that's another suggestion I want to put forward. Now, talking about the website, also about the reports. If any one of you have ever seen gender reading ministry report, I'm telling you, it is so, it's not to talk down on anybody, but they need to do better. I mean, it's confusing and it's right there. It is confusing. It lacks substance. So there's something that it needs. When you do a report, it has to be in a way that a third grader, somebody that has no knowledge on the subject, should be able to read with understanding. So they have to work on that. But I'll stop there for now because I know we got to do this more often. And so I'll just stop there. But I want to thank everybody for being here. I've learned so much. And thank you so much. And thank you to your audience. I mean, they stuck with us throughout the process. I think Masa, they say almost 3 hours now. So we need to call it quit. So thank you all and have a good evening.
All right, folks. I think you hear it.
And the t-shirt. I'm sorry. I will inbox everybody. I will give everybody a t-shirt. Let me tell you the story.
So yeah, are you gonna give me one too?
Of course. Oh, I thought. Okay.
So that way, the next show I will wear it.
Yes, you have to wear it.
So the next show I will wear it and put my coat on top of it.
Yeah, guys. No, you shouldn't put a coat on.
Okay, whatever you say.
So I have to say that I meant to mention. I know I've told you thank you 100 times behind the scene, but I want to.
No worries, man. We are in this together, man. We are in this together. Any of you can call me anytime for anything. I'm available.
But I wanted to say quickly because I've had experience where I've inboxed, other people for other things, and they would tell me, tomorrow or let me get back to you wherever it is. But almost instantly, you agreed and you told me to choose the time and the date. That for me, that was huge. That's how important this means to you. So I just thank you so much for that. About the t-shirt, like I said, I'll mail everybody a t-shirt. That t-shirt, they that last December.
Because we can't have Hawa bluffing everybody here. So everybody need that t-shirt.
So that t-shirt we designed it last December. The thought was to go to Liberia and launch that there in the communities, vulnerable communities as an awareness. But guess what? We got stuck with COVID. So I was like, Hawa, you're the one to talk on.
All right. So before we leave, I want to make one quick point. That is just announcement. First of all, I want to inform you that we have extended invitation. We want the gender minister to come on this platform. We will try. We also want the first lady.
We can all have a conversation with her.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We want to have also the first lady here if we can. We are trying, and we have also attempted a little while ago. We still continue to invite the vice president here. The reason why I'm calling those women names because I'm concerned of the fact that they have not done a lot. I wouldn't say they haven't done nothing or anything, but I believe they have not done a lot. And they can come here. Maybe they are trying, but we don't know. Or maybe they need some help. We don't know. But with all of you professionals and level-headed people around here, when they come up, then I know many of you will be willing to help in whatever way you can. So I wanted to make that announcement. We will try. And one of the good things I wanted to say to you people after telling you thank you for being professional is that it was conversational. No one was aggressive. No one insulted the government or the president or anybody that got to do with the female, the gender minister. You guys were so professional, and I'm so proud of you. And that speaks to the uniqueness of this platform. If you come here and behave that way, I have to tell you thank you. I really appreciate that, because there are a lot of people behind the scene. I call them the silent majority. They don't talk, they don't write, they won't come on and say anything, but they're only there to listen and read. And those are the majority of the people. That's why after the show, you will see 6,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 people watch the show. There are a lot of people that watch the show without coming on, without saying anything. And they are the ones that can give a rating as to how well we are doing. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Again, we are open. My line is open to everybody. Call me anytime. My wife already know that. But she always tell me, say, your people not start calling you. So you know, Liberian people are my people. So you call me anytime you want to call me. I'm available to men, women, it doesn't matter. If I'm sleeping, I'll tell you, say, I've got to call you back tomorrow. I'm always available to talk to everybody. I want to say thank you. And we will see you all again. Until then, the audience, I want to say thank you for being with us to the end. So everyone, you have a good night. And another show going to be on shortly. We even eat in the time of that show. That's the health care matter, the health show with Dr. Bala. He's gonna be talking about you could high blood pressure problem. High blood pressure problem. Dr. Bala going to be on shortly. He's supposed to be on maybe like what 20 minutes ago, but we eat into his time. But because of our mothers, our sister, I know you're not going to beat me off for that. So thank you very much, and go back, refresh, and come watch Dr. Bala talking about healthcare. You have a good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you, Sekou. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Sekou.
No problem.
Thanks to our audience.
No problem. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. We will call it wait for night.